Defense made a motion for a mistrial. Prosecutor was up to some fuckery. Potentially damaging evidence, no basis for it. The judge specifically said, do not ask that question. Do not use that as evidence. She walked right down the path and asked the question. It may be over on Tuesday morning. Batman Bruce Wayne bitch snitch. Gerald Brooks, your constitution does not apply to me because I'm a sovereign citizen, a traveler on the land. I'm the Moorish Empire or whatever, bitch snitch. Because they're so fucking absurd. If you want to be a sovereign citizen, just do yourself a favor first. Go to YouTube here and just get every sovereign citizen that's ever been before. Find me one that won. God dang, you're right. Don't go down this. It's not the path. Don't have time for stupidity. Some clever dick on the internet didn't find the great loophole in all of the world's law. Bitch snitch. God dang, you're right. God dang, you're right. Traveler on the land. God dang, you're right. Moorish Empire. Traveler on the land. Bitch snitch. Moorish Empire. God dang, you're right. Traveler on the land. Bitch snitch. The late evening U.S. people.
What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God! No!
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everybody. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, why you're doing it in the first place, and however good it feels, and however many times you're going to do it, I don't care. I'm just glad you're doing it here with me, Legal Vices, on this little old channel I like to call Legal Vices. Today, we are doing day 13 live of the Karen Reed murder trial. Right now, let's bring up the court so you can see what's going on. And we'll put the court here in the bottom right-hand corner so that we can keep an eye on it. As of yet, court has not started, but she's pretty punctual, so I would expect her to start here at some point in the next few minutes and begin, and then send it to its own little corner of the universe here. Right, there we go. All right, while we're waiting, I guess the one thing we need to do that I have forgotten to do is to put up the link for generating the new bingo card, because we play trial bingo here, and we may get things. We may get some bingos today. So to do that, I have to go back into yesterday's stream and bring up yesterday's stream and copy the link from there. So that's what I'm furiously doing right now. Let's see, where are we at here? The last Karen Reed live, day 11 live. That's what we did. I guess it was 2 days ago. Now, I did not put up the review for day 12 yet. We will do that eventually. Stop talking. There we go. We'll do that eventually. I'll do it live after. We'll do a premiere video right after we finish the stream today. So we'll watch day 13 live, and then I'll make a premiere out of my day 12 review. Here is the link in chat for the bingo card. Click on that and generate your very own bingo card so you can play along with bingo at home. And let's all do that together. Did you notice that? Nope. YouTube just asked me a stupid question. Pin message. Boom, there we are. Okay, the message is now pinned at the top of the the chat here, so you can generate your own bingo card here. Don't know why it says get your bingo card twice, but it does. So let's change that. I will unpin that and then post a new link. Unpin you. Post the new link so you only have to read that once. There we go. Generate your bingo card because we are going to be playing some bingo today. And there's my bingo card. My bingo card is now generated, and we are ready to hit the ground running, so to speak. I was going to update it and change it, but frankly, I just didn't have enough time. So we'll still have to stick with the old one for another day or so. But I shall do my best to make sure that we get a new bingo card. And what I think I'm going to do, again, I won't be doing a stream Friday morning U.S. time because I usually do them Friday night. I think what I will do is, I think what I'll do is I'll stream it on Friday evening U.S. time. I'll just delay it and we can watch it quickly together live Friday evening. I think that's what I'm going to do. So, all right, everybody, hope you've got your bingo card generated and you're ready to go. But let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. There was a couple of big moments that happened in the trial yesterday, and I'd be curious to hear from you guys. But first, make sure we got 234 people here waiting for this to start. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We've got 119 people, so essentially we have almost 50% exactly that haven't done your job. Get down there and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we have a like and subscribe poll today, and that's what we do every day, just to remind you to do all the YouTube-y stuff. Hit the like and subscribe and make sure you're still subscribed if you already have. And take our little poll here. Our poll today is, what, if anything, should I click? Who, if anyone, should I vote for? What sort of, if any, poll is this? And what purpose, if any, is this trial? Just choose whichever answer you think best applies. And we'll check in an hour or so if I remember. And see how that's going along. Still nothing from the court. Let me turn the volume on so at least we can get a little bit of a heads up if they start the volume. And Tammy Fayette kicking us off with the very first super chat of the evening. Thank you very much, Tammy Fayette. You are a hero. Shall we count how many lip smacks there are? Ugh. No, the one witness yesterday, she got a little bit lip smacky and it was kind of icky. Ugh. Thank you for the super chat. You are officially in the lead with the vice racks of the day, because the only one so far. All right, we've got the doggo sitting here snoring next to me, so you'll just have to bear with the sound of emotional support potato pig dogs snoring on the floor next to me. Now, the two things I wanted to talk about from yesterday, one was the DNA analyst. And again, if you've seen even modest trials, the DNA people are on the stand for a very long time because there's a huge amount of DNA to analyze. Well, not in this case. The DNA analyst had exactly two pieces of evidence to analyze for DNA. Hey, Jules, what's up? Subtle joke. The DNA analyst analyzed two pieces of evidence, which were two swabs. They only took two swabs, not the DNA people, the investigating officers, all the agents that were involved in investigating this. Two swabs. And they told the lady to analyze it. They specifically said analyze it for dog DNA. So she did a test for canine DNA and it came back negative. Both of the sticks came back negative for dog DNA. And of course, the prosecution is trying to make this, you see, we swabbed, and there's no dog DNA on there. But interestingly enough, their DNA analysis, because they analyzed it for like 12 other animals. The DNA came back positive on both of the sticks, on both of the swabs. The DNA came back positive for pig DNA. So maybe there was a little cross-contamination from the officers. See what I did there? Yeah, so there was pig DNA. And the other one was when Allison McCabe was on the stand. She
be seated.
Look,
22117 Commonwealth versus.
all right, the jury is there, and I will
Karen
just say that the most interesting thing, and I want to see what he does with this on cross-examination, because Allie McCabe, she testified that Colin was not at the house while John was there. She put John at the scene. She put John inside the house. And so I want to see what happens when they cross-examine John on this. Let's go.
Asking the court before we get started today to instruct the jury that they are to disregard that evidence. And I wanted to point out to the court that it is our view we didn't even come close to opening the door to that evidence. I had just asked the witness if she had turned over those text messages to the state police when she spoke to them on August 25th of 2023. I've asked every witness when was the first time that they spoke to the state police. That was the first time Allie McCabe spoke to the state police. None of that conversation had anything to do with harassment whatsoever. It was strictly related to the death of John O'Keefe and the investigation of John O'Keefe. I stayed completely clear of any discussion of harassment whatsoever. I only focused on
correct.
The federal grand jury and the approach by the state police on August 25.
He never mentioned anything about it.
I didn't even approach the door. And yet that evidence came in. It led to a moment where that Mr. Lally, I believe, has been waiting for, which is for a witness to break down on the stand and feel sorry for themselves to gain sympathy before this jury. It was prejudicial to our client. It was prejudicial to our defense. It is error, and we're asking the court to correct it.
All right. What do you say, Commonwealth?
Your Honor, counsel absolutely opened the door as far as the
How?
questioning was concerned. It was not just the characterization of the questioning is just simply inaccurate. As far as the questions that were posed to the witness, it was more geared towards why, implying that the witness only provided this after testifying at the other proceeding or being questioned about it in that environment. And that's the only reason that she had these messages. And why hadn't she turned these messages over earlier? And that is in direct response to the harassment that that witness and her entire family, as well as Mr. Albert, had sustained as a result of actions by several different parties, including counsel. So for those reasons, it was proper. There was nothing, I don't think it was more than 5 minutes of testimony concerning it. And it was because counsel opened the door to it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Ms. Giannetti, I remember clearly the lines of inquiry that you initiated. So I disagree with you in the strongest way possible. You've made your record. Your motion's denied.
What
Okay, so let's bring in the jurors.
specific
please.
lines of questioning you remember? Because I don't remember anything that vaguely related to harassment or the treatment of her and her family. So yeah, I think that's a wrong decision. Or as we say in Utah, that's just horse shit. All right, so that's what we got there.
Jim.
And then her life 360 evidence showed her leaving the house about 43 times after midnight, where she said she just went out once, got Colin, took him home, and then came straight home. But it even had her leaving her house and going to the school like 1:30 a.m. She denied. She says, I have no idea what Life 360 says I did that, but I did it. That kind of tells me that she may have been doing something that she didn't want to rat other people out. She may have been doing something that she doesn't want to talk about. You can speculate all day about what that may be, that a 20-year-old would be meeting up with someone for a minute or two inside in a school parking lot to do. I don't know, but it was odd. Yeah, so that, I mean, the Life 360 stuff was weird. She said, I just picked him up and I was home by 12:20, 12:30. And it's got her leaving home at 12:06, 12:08, 12:26, 12:28, 1:06. It was weird. Well, Kitty, she was only there for 2 minutes, so I hope sex wasn't involved because that would be really depressing if it was only 2 minutes. All right, they bringing the jury in, I guess. And the DNA lady on cross-examination when they asked if she said she wouldn't collect anything in plastic and everything would have to be sterile. I believe it was Yannetti. Was it Jack? I can't remember which one of the defense asked her, but so you wouldn't collect evidence in a red Solo cup. And she's like, what? She did this like, what the hell are you talking about? Double take, which was pretty cool. She's like, what are you saying? Kind of a look on her face. So yeah, that kind of took her by surprise a little bit. We got 325 people joining us here.
Hear ye, all parties having anything to do before the Honorable First Justice Beverly Pannoni, now sitting in the Dedham Superior Court, in for the County of Norfolk, draw near, give your attendance, you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth and this good court. Thank you. You may be seated.
1983 called and they want their hair back, Mr. Bailiff.
22117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All right. Good morning, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors. So I have to ask you those same 3 questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this with anyone since we left yesterday? Yes. Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Yes. Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left the other day? Yes or no? Thank you very much. Everyone said no or shook their heads. All right, may we have Mr. Albert, please?
Step on me. Remain standing and face the clock. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the evidence here, court and jury in the case now and the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So
I do.
He's wearing the same shirt he wore yesterday with a sweater over it.
All right,
Dude,
whenever you're ready, Mr.
shirt.
Jackson.
Thank you, Robert.
This is young Colin Albert.
Mr. Albert, who did you talk to in order to prepare for your testimony starting yesterday?
Can you rephrase that question, please?
Phrase the question. You didn't understand my question?
No.
Who did you speak to in order to prepare for your testimony yesterday?
My lawyer.
Other than your lawyer, who did you speak to prepare for your testimony yesterday?
No one.
Did you speak to your parents?
No.
Did you speak to your mom, your dad?
Nope.
That would be his parents.
At any time before yesterday about your testimony or your statements?
Nope.
Did you discuss with your parents their testimony?
No.
So after they got off the witness stand, your dad didn't come home and say, here's how my day went?
No.
Your mom didn't come home and say, here's how my day went?
Nope.
The Albert family just ignored the fact that both of them testified in a court of law before a jury about the events of January 29th, 2022. Nothing was ever said?
No.
Did you talk to Mr. Lally at any point before yesterday in preparation for your testimony?
Before yesterday, you said?
Correct.
Yes.
Tell me when.
Want to say a month ago about.
What did you talk about?
I got prepped for this.
Tell me what that means. What does it mean to prep for this?
What I'm going to be getting asked.
Okay. Remember my first question, very first question this morning? I said, have you spoken to anybody in order to prepare for your testimony? And you said no.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's not true. Spoke to Mr. Lau.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, we finally get to
Yes.
Okay.
mark off on your bingo card.
You said that was about a month ago, correct?
Correct. Around a month ago.
Tell me what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Around a month ago.
Tell me what you and Mr. Lally discussed.
the questions I would be asked here.
Mark, admission of a
You'd be more
lie
detailed.
on your bingo cards, people.
I don't remember everything he said.
Did he go over the questions that he believed he would ask?
I believe so.
Did you give him answers to those questions that you believed you would give in response to his questions?
Yes.
What questions did he tell you he was going to
Court's
ask?
only been going a few minutes.
I
We've
don't
already
remember.
gotten him to admit to
What
a
answers
lie.
did you tell him you were going to give?
I don't remember.
That was just a month ago, right?
Yes.
Obviously, you've been thinking about this case quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
Over the last 2.5 years.
No.
How long have you been thinking about this case?
Since people started writing about me on the internet.
How about since you were at a house where an individual ended up dead on the lawn the
Happens
next
all the
morning?
time.
Did that prompt you to start thinking about this case?
No.
Not so much, huh?
Nope.
What?
Did you speak with, when Mr. Lally spoke with you, who else was there?
The witness advocate, I believe, and
Steve Nelson?
yes.
Who else?
And is it Sergeant Tully, I believe?
Tully, T-U-L-L-Y?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Not that I remember.
Sergeant Tully taking notes while you were having this conversation with Mr. Lally?
I do not remember.
Mr. Lally taking notes?
I do not remember.
Do you remember being told by either Sergeant Tully or Mr. Lally that your conversation was being recorded?
I do not remember.
For quality control.
How long was that meeting?
Say 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Were you given any instructions by either Sergeant Tully or Mr. Lally about your preparation for your testimony?
Can you rephrase that, please?
Sure. Did they give you any instructions about your the preparation for your testimony? How they wanted you to answer questions? The tone and tenor of your testimony?
No.
How they wanted you to dress, for instance?
No.
Clearly not, because they would have told him to change his shirt from yesterday.
Other than that time a month ago, have you spoken with Mr. Lally or anybody from the DA's office since then, before yesterday?
No.
You watched any coverage of this case online?
Nope.
No social media?
Nope.
No, I don't have social media.
No news, coverage?
Nope.
Nightly news, Channel 25, Channel 5?
No.
National news?
Nope.
Blogs?
Nope.
So literally, according to you, you know zero about the media coverage concerning this case, Commonwealth versus Karen.
Correct.
Did you talk to Allie before her testimony?
No.
When was the last time you did talk to Allie before she testified yesterday?
I don't remember.
Give me an idea. She's one of your best friends. A week ago, a day ago, a month ago.
I do not remember.
Could it have been a year ago?
I do not remember.
Oh, come on, dude.
No.
So it's more recently than 5 years ago that you spoke with Allie.
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember if it was 5 years ago or last week?
So you have no
Come
independent
on,
recollection
what
as
a
you sit here.
jackass.
The last time you talked to one of your best friends and your cousin about any subject.
No, I don't remember.
Were you ever told
Fuck off.
in preparation for your testimony, if you start to get stumped or nervous, just say, I don't remember?
Nope.
Nobody ever told you that?
Mm-mm. No.
No?
No. Sorry.
It's okay. So nobody ever informed you that you might get nervous on the witness stand, there might be tough questions. Easiest way to get out of that is just say, yeah, I don't recall.
No.
So you just don't recall because your memory is that bad. You literally don't recall the last time you spoke with Cal.
Dude's gonna get brutalized.
Objection.
Ask that differently, Mr. Jackson.
Sure.
It was a little argumentative, but you can do it.
Your testimony is you are not instructed to say, I don't remember. You just literally don't remember.
Correct.
It's an issue with your memory.
You
Not
ain't
an
very
instruction
smart,
that
are
you
you? private
Correct.
pile.
Right. But you do remember 2.5 years ago, you left 34 Fairview at 12:10 a.m., correct? Down to the minute.
Correct.
Did Mr. Lally, during this meeting that y'all had, did Mr. Lally show you anything? Items of evidence, photographs, videos, anything like that?
No.
Did you two talk about any evidence that you might see? Photographs, documents, videos?
Not that I remember.
He didn't show you the series of text messages between you and Miss McCabe, Allie?
I don't remember.
Okay, so you're not saying he didn't, you're just saying again, you just don't remember.
Correct.
Okay. And this was just a month ago.
Around a month. Correct.
Could have been sooner than a month. Let me ask that a different way. Could have been more recently than a month.
I don't know.
Don't know that either.
Mm-mm.
Is that no?
Yeah, no.
So, Mr. Albert, you have to answer yes or no, not just,
All right, sorry.
Where were you when this meeting a month ago took place?
At the DA's office on Shawmut Road.
Who contacted you to come to the DA's office?
I do not remember that.
Don't remember that either.
No.
Phone call from Mr. Lally, maybe?
I don't believe that I received a phone call. Maybe my lawyer did or my father, but I don't know. I don't believe I did.
So if your father received a phone call and then told you you need to go to the DA's office to meet Mr. Lally, that would be a conversation with your dad about your preparation for your testimony, correct?
I wouldn't say so, no.
You would categorize that as such?
No.
Okay. Because of course, even though you went to the DA's office to meet Mr. Lally and a sergeant from the Massachusetts State Police to talk about your testimony, you didn't mention that to your dad.
No.
You didn't mention that to your mom.
No.
And when you got done with that meeting, Dad didn't ask you, how'd it go, son?
Nope.
Your mom didn't say, how was that meeting?
No.
About this massive murder case.
Objection.
Let me ask it a different way. Do you consider this to be a high-profile murder case?
Objection.
stand on relevancy, ask it to.
In your mind, this is an important case, correct? Obviously.
Hello.
Correct.
Heather. But according to you, just
It's
never comes
Aussie
up in the
overload,
Albert household.
everybody.
No.
Okay. You were asked to look at a
I don't want to swear
couple of
alone,
text
so I
messages
invited Hayden.
yesterday.
Good, you'll be good
A
company.
little bit like this. You seen that before?
Yes.
It's funny to
Did
be
you see
here and
that?
swear instead of doing it in my own office on my own.
Yesterday
Before yesterday, had you ever seen that before?
on my phone. Yeah.
Okay, other than on your phone when you made the screenshot, had you ever seen that before? Mr. Loudly ever show it to you?
Not that I remember. No.
So you two didn't discuss that in your meeting a month or less ago?
We could have. I don't remember.
But again, you don't remember.
Mm-mm.
Is that no?
No.
Did Mr. Lally tell you why he wanted to question you about those text messages?
I don't remember.
Did Mr. Lally tell you anything about what you might be asked on cross-examination?
No.
He asked you about any videos that you've ever posted?
No.
He asked you about any comments you've ever made online?
Nope.
Any photos you've ever been in?
No.
Any fights you've ever been in?
Nope.
Who's Courtney Proctor?
She's friendly with my aunt, Jillian.
I'm sorry?
My aunt Jillian, she's friendly with.
When you say friendly with, describe that. What do you mean by friendly with?
I know that they're pretty friendly.
Have you ever been to Courtney Proctor's home?
Yes.
How many times would you say over the years?
4 or 5, maybe.
Her family is close to your family, it's fair to say.
Not that close. Close though.
When you say not that close, but close though, what does that mean?
I'd say we were more close when I was younger, not when I got older.
Okay. How old are you now? You're 20?
Correct.
Well, just don't destroy your phone, Jules, like everybody else is doing here on this witness stand.
May I approach? Okay. I have a photo I'd like to show Mr. Lally first.
While he's showing that, I want to give a formal welcome to Aussie Overlord. Welcome, sir.
Take a look at that photo.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Just look at it to yourself.
This lying
Hey,
little
Joe.
mother.
Let me know if
Yeah,
you
you bastard.
studied it for a second.
Hey, Joe got the
You
one
recognize
gifted
the photo?
Yes.
membership
Who's in
from
that
I
photo?
can't remember.
Objection.
Thank you.
So the objection sustained as to the content of the photos. Did you want to come to sidebar and explain this to me?
All right. Judge asks for a sidebar. Mark that off on your bingo card. All right. Where is it on mine? Where is the judge asks for? Judge calls for sidebar. There we are. And Cloak and Glomar, who has now taken the rightful position as the vice racks of the day. As the Alberts turn, which lie will crumble next? If their cover-up was any more transparent, they'd be invisible. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you so much. I can't remember. Thank you for the gifted membership that Hey Joe got, and Hey Joe, make sure you say thank you. Wow. So we're off to a good start here, Hayden.
Yeah. How does such a lying, sniveling little piece of crap like that wake up of a morning without things just falling out of his mouth? Like
2 minutes into his testimony, and he flat out admitted he lied about preparing.
And then he proceeded to lie again on the stand.
I mean, to say you don't know if you talked to your best friend / cousin about this case last week or 5 years ago, fuck right off.
Yeah, that's a crock of shit. And the fact that he then goes, oh, I didn't look up anything about the case, nothing on socials, all that. He literally said on the stand that he didn't start thinking about the case until he read that people were talking about him online.
Why does this
I'm
water
really
taste
hoping-
like iron and copper? Ugh. Sorry, just a little, blood in the solo cup joke. Sorry. Continue. I think my jokes are funny.
Oh, I think they are too.
I don't care what anybody else thinks. I think I'm funny, and that's all that matters. Oh, hell. Uh-oh. Nicola Maxwell says, Aussie coming in, angry Steve Irwin. Oh, my Lord. I mean, that I can't even wrap my head around that. You literally saying that you can't remember, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 5 years ago that you talked about? Just the audacity of this little shit. Ugh. All right, there's a mosquito in here. How is there a mosquito in my house? It's bitten me on the back of the neck and the ankle. Stupid mosquitoes. All right, this is turning out to be a lengthy sidebar. They're getting into something. What is the kid's name? First name Jack, last name Ass. Close enough. Colin Albert means the same thing. As Shakespeare said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Oh, says you're like me, Jeff. I crack myself up too. I don't care if anyone else thinks I'm funny. Exactly. I'm here for the sole purpose of entertaining myself. All right, 400 people and 238 likes. Make sure we got nothing to do here while we wait for the sidebar. So get down there and hit that like button. What you doing, people? Come on. Hayden's wandered off somewhere into the mist. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Mosquitoes come where no net blocks them. I'm on the 18th floor of my condominium on a windy night. There's the windows open a crack, but it has a very nice screen on it. So I don't know. Maybe it followed me in the door when I came home tonight. I don't know. But we're not here for Skeeter talk. All right, we're getting back to the trial. Oh, Hayden! Welcome back.
Sorry, I was trying to get my other camera to work because I think I found some of the prosecution's evidence.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Mr. Albert,
Solo cups are out.
photograph taken.
Objection.
So we can get that, but Will answer that question.
10 years or less ago, I'd say. I don't.
You were the ring bearer in Courtney Proctor's wedding, were you not?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Correct.
So when you say we're friendly, but not that, or we're close rather, but not that close, you were actually close enough to be a member of her wedding party when she was married to her now husband, correct?
When I was younger, correct.
Well, of course it was when you were younger. It was 10 years ago. Is that yes?
2 minutes
Yeah.
ago was
That's
when
my
you were
question.
younger.
So for at least a decade, your family and the Proctor family has been close enough such that you and Albert were in her wedding, correct?
Objection.
Ask that differently, Mr. Jackson.
For the
That's an
last,
old Mitch Hedberg joke.
well,
People talk about their pictures
least
being
at
when they
that
were
time,
younger. Every
10 years
picture is
ago.
when you were younger.
your family was close enough to the Proctor family such that you were a ring bearer in Courtney Proctor's wedding, right?
Correct.
And who's Courtney Proctor's brother?
Michael Proctor.
And is Michael Proctor in the photograph that you're looking at?
Yes.
Person on the far left,
Correct.
looks like he's in a tuxedo.
Correct.
You were also in a tuxedo.
Objection.
Sustained.
What I'm getting at is you all were part of the same wedding party, correct?
Correct.
And that's a photograph of Courtney Proctor's wedding and the entire wedding party, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is that a photograph of a wedding party?
Objection.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Come on, Judge. There was nothing wrong with that question unless it was relevancy.
Yeah, no, she's reaching on that.
I mean, he laid the foundation. So the only thing I see, this is what's frustrating. Like they should say what their objection is.
Yeah.
They do it
It would
weird.
make my
in
life
this.
a lot easier.
Well, they seem to have ESP and know what they're talking about. So whatever. Well, while they're figuring that out, Nick Starro with these sexy 20 monies. What am I supposed to do here? I don't remember. Well, I don't remember what you're supposed to remember about doing. Jennifer with the £5. What are they putting in the water to cause mass amnesia? Alita over on Legal Bites has been calling it cross-examnesia. I kind of like that. I would like to steal that from her. Cross-examnesia is a thing. It's particularly bad in the Boston area, apparently. And Torin 3 with the $5. Just an odd bit of legal news about being a constable in Pennsylvania. Evictions can't be posted after 2025. It has to be personal service. Will suck for landlords. Well, it'll just mean process servers will start making more money. But Jennifer with the £5, you have pulled into the lead by an exchange rate to make yourself the vice racks of the day. My mic is popping.
Just a little bit. I wasn't going to mention it because it stopped, but I think the cord might be slightly loose again.
That's weird. Huh. All right, whatever. The dog is chewing a bone. That's not it, huh? Whatever.
Yeah, no, it was definitely cable related.
Weird. All right. Well, there's only one person that said it was popping, so whatever. Yeah, it better not be time to get a new mic. These effers are expensive.
I know, right? And they're heavy. I've gone through another friggin' arm.
Yeah, my stand's about shot, and I've got the Shure. You've got the Rodecaster one, right?
Yeah, so that's that little bit extra heavy. I think I'm actually gonna have to fork out for the proper arm on it. It's just, yeah.
Oh, by the way, everybody needs to mark off on your bingo card. Lawyer calls for sidebar. We've got the lawyer called for the sidebar. We've had an admission of a lie, and the judge called for the sidebar. Those are the three boxes that should be checked so far.
Come on, siren. Come on, siren.
Strawberry's chewing up a storm on that bone. Dang.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Robert, I want you to look at that one more time. Both you and Michael Proctor are depicted in the photograph, correct?
Correct.
How long have you known Michael Proctor?
Since I was a little kid.
And you've known him well enough to know, I don't want you to tell me or tell the jurors, but you know where he lives.
Yeah.
Know where you live,
consider
Proctor.
the Proctor family close to your family.
Yeah.
During the course of, for instance, just as an example, during the course of this event, joyous event at a wedding, you actually sat at the head table along with the Proctor family because you were given the honor of being the ring bearer in Courtney's wedding, correct?
Correct.
And you know, of course, that being in a wedding party is reserved for most special family members and friends, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
In your mind, was that a special honor?
Objection.
Is that what you thought when you were little? When you were in that?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
And you were never interviewed by Canton Police Department in connection with this case, correct?
No.
How many times were you interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police in connection with this case?
Once.
And that was in July of 2023, correct?
I don't remember exactly when it was.
About a year and a half after the events in question. Is that right?
Around there.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection if you saw a copy of a report of that interview? Just to get the date?
Sure, yeah.
May I approach you?
Yes.
I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Even the court reporter lady's like, what? What are you guys talking about? Say something intelligible, stupid kid.
Take a look at paragraph 1. It's in the middle of the paragraph. If you'll just read that to yourself, please. You got that?
Yeah.
You saw the July 18 date,
Yes.
2023?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that that was the first time you were interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police?
Correct.
May I approach now?
Yes.
Thank you. Who conducted that interview?
Michael Proctor and one of his partners, I believe. I don't remember.
Michael Proctor was the lead investigator in the interview, correct?
Correct.
That's the same Michael Proctor that appears on the far left of the photo of that wedding party, correct?
Correct.
Did you find?
I hope he goes all
that
Taylor
interview-
ship
How long
business
did the
and
interview
goes
last?
after the lawyer.
Michael Proctor.
I do not remember.
Do you remember testifying at one point that it was about 10 minutes?
No.
Do you remember being fucking stupid?
You testified at a different hearing, a different proceeding, not this proceeding, one other time, correct?
Correct.
I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
I need a foundational question first. I apologize. It's my fault, Mr. Albert. Do you believe it would refresh your recollection as to the length of that first interview if you were to see your testimony from a prior proceeding?
Yeah.
May I approach you?
Yes.
She's got to stop it with that exasperation. It's pissing me the fuck off.
And she's got to start with a WD-40 on the chair. A little squeaky.
Take a look at this, and I'm going to direct your attention to line 18 and 19 of that transcript. Let me know when you've reviewed it.
She does have resting bitch voice.
Is that yes?
Yeah.
May I?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
How long was that interview?
Which interview are you?
Oh, you
The interview
fucking idiot.
that you had with Michael Proctor. That's what that question was about. That you just read.
I still don't remember.
You just read it was fucking 10 minutes.
Testified. Question. How long did
Objection.
the interview last for?
Objection sustained where his memory is not refreshed.
All
You
right.
can do this differently, you know that.
Did this refresh your recollection as to the question and answer, how you answered the question, how long that interview lasted?
Yes.
Okay. Did you say 10 minutes?
Yes.
There you go.
So during the
Oh
course
my
of that
God.
10-minute conversation that
Fucking
you had
idiot,
with Michael Proctor, what was the tone of that interview? You understand what I mean by tone?
No.
I do not understand.
Okay. Was
Oh
it
my God.
hostile and accusatory?
Not that I remember, no.
Was it antagonistic or confrontational?
Can you use different words, please?
Sure. Was he being mean?
No.
Okay.
What
He was
would
being
you mean,
nice,
big
right?
mean?
Professional, I'd say.
Yeah, because you've known him almost your whole life, right?
Yes.
He was
He's either
friendly,
going to cry or punch
cordial,
somebody.
Correct.
and the interview was comfortable.
Say it again.
The interview was comfortable.
Correct.
You didn't feel like you were on the hot seat.
No.
Did you find that the interview with Michael Proctor was consistent with the relationship that you've had with him your whole life? Meaning, he's always been friendly to you. He was just as friendly in that conversation.
Not really, no.
How is he different?
I'd say more professional.
Okay. Obviously, he was doing a job, correct?
Correct.
But when you walked in, you recognized him.
Yes.
He recognized you.
Yes.
Made natural greetings with one another, correct?
Correct.
Questioned you about a few things.
Correct.
He didn't look at your phone. He didn't ask to take your phone away from you.
No.
He didn't ask to seize your phone or seize any other physical items from you.
No.
You weren't asked to come down to the police station and sit in an interview room or an interrogation room, were you?
No.
Matter of fact, where did the conversation take place, those 10 minutes?
In the DA's office on Shawmut Road.
DA's office on Shawmut Road. Who else was there other than Trooper Proctor and his partner at the time, Trooper Clark?
Can you
Who else was there? Was it just Trooper Proctor, Michael Proctor, and Clark?
Yes.
Okay, so just the three.
Yes.
And Trooper Proctor was the one that was sort of leading the conversation.
Yes.
And then when it was done, he said, "You're free to go."
Correct.
And he didn't take your phone.
Nope.
He didn't ask you to look at any text messages.
Nope.
He didn't look through your phone.
Nope.
He didn't take any screenshots or videos of your phone or the contents.
Did he find
of your phone.
nudes?
Nope.
Just let you walk out the door.
Correct.
Your Honor, may I publish the photo?
Why don't you come over here for just 1 second?
Why did you come on over here? Come on, put him up, put him up. All right, more sidebarring going on. And Mike Middleton with the Canuckistan 279. What were you doing at the gas station? Don't remember. Don't want to know what he was doing at the gas station. Nico Ace gifted 5 Legal Vices memberships. If you got one of the 5 Legal Vices gifted memberships, if you are Project Metal Music 77 Mechanic, Rested Pandy or P-Andy, who else do we got? Searched for You, Brit F, and who else? That's only 4. And whoever else got one, make sure you give Nico Ace a super special thanks. Nico Ace has just moved into first place as the Vice Racks of the day. Thank you so much, Nico Ace.
Wait, who'd you say? Project Metal Music, 77 Mechanic, Rested Pandy, Search for You and Brit F. That's 5.
I still count 4.
Project Metal Music, 77 Mechanic, Rested Pandy, Searched for You and Brit F.
Oh, okay. I missed the F. Okay. All right. There we go. Whatever. Either that or I didn't raise a finger. I don't know. I'm confused at times. All right. Well, again, this must be a very, very serious picture. Hey, Fiery Red Podcast, welcome here. How you doing? How you feeling, brother? Hope you're enjoying your. I was about to say evening. It's not evening where you are. It's a nice early morning. By the way, someone mods. One of you throw up the link to Fiery Red Podcast fundraiser, and if it's something you're inclined to do, chat, I encourage you to go over and click on the link when it gets posted and read it and see if it's something for you. Dang, Strobs, what's up, girl? Just going to town on that bone. How loud is the bone chewing from Strawberry?
It's not too bad. Like it's there, but it's still cute and endearing at this point.
Not to me, it's annoying as hell. All right, we got to wait for him to show up here again. If you're playing with the home version of the Karen Reed murder trial bingo, if you want to play along, go up to the top there and click the link that's pinned up there to get your bingo card and generate your bingo card. So far, we've only got 3 boxes filled in. That would be lawyer calls for sidebar, judge calls for sidebar, admission of a lie, and of course your free space. Because they got him to admit within the first 2 minutes that he lied about preparing for the trial. And then
I'm still shocked that they haven't asked who, if anyone, or what, if anything, in this so far.
Well, it started out with cross-examination. The prosecution hasn't stood up yet, so that will happen soon.
Yeah.
once the prosecution gets to it. And I missed quite a few yesterday, it seems. I mean, 2 days ago, it seems, because Legal Bite, she does a daily transcript search for what, if any, and I'm usually about 10 off. So I apparently just get zoned out and just stop paying close attention because it annoys me. People. What are they talking about for so long there? I'm curious. Here we go. Coming back. Let's fire up the grill again. Thank you to the 422 people that are here. Bring your friends.
May I inquire you?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Albert, I want to shift gears for a quick second. On July 27th, you and your attorney appeared at a hearing in a separate proceeding, correct?
I don't.
Let me ask it a different way. You testified at a different proceeding, not this trial, but a different proceeding.
Correct.
Okay. You put on your oath. You appeared with your lawyer. You gave testimony, and that's part of what you looked at a second.
Correct.
Okay. But when you met with Michael Proctor, you did not feel the need to take an attorney with you. It was just you, Michael Proctor, and Investigator Clark, correct?
Objection.
That's sustained.
You were asked yesterday about certain texts with your cousin, Allie, correct?
Correct.
Allie is obviously family.
Yes.
But she's more than family. She's also a good friend of yours.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, she's one of your best friends.
Correct.
And at your age, this is not meant to be pejorative, but we're different generations. At your age, your most convenient way of communicating is through text messages, correct?
Correct.
I mean, if you're going to grab a buddy, say, let's
used
meet
to
at
hate
such and
texting.
such ball field.
Now
or
I
whatever,
hate
you're
talking on the
texting,
phone.
Probably not calling.
Either or.
Okay. But texting is pretty common between you and your friends.
Yes.
Texting is certainly common between you and Alan. We've already seen evidence of that, right?
Yes.
And that's generally how you like to communicate with Alan.
I didn't see you there.
I'd say so, yeah.
In
I gotta
fact,
stop messing with the camera.
when you reached out to her for a ride, there were like 8 text messages back and forth just for a pickup, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, just move your arm.
Sure.
This is going to be the end of the cross-examination?
Well, Lord Inquisitor, I might as well drink the evidence. They're not using it.
May I approach your honor?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a copy of 81. I just want you to have that in front of you. Your Honor, with the court's permission, can you place Exhibit 81 on the screen?
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach? I need to use the Elmar instead of.
Okay.
Oh
Is
my
there an
God.
objection to that?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
May I
I
have
thought
that back?
okay, I thought he was
I
going to
thought
approach
you
the
meant
bench.
approach over here.
Yeah, me too. I was like, for fuck's sakes, can we not have another sidebar? Project Metal Music, the Vice Squad chat is the best chat. Thank you so
Do you want the
much.
Commonwealth to pull it? Mr. Jackson, do you want the Commonwealth to pull it up for you?
You'd be happy to, Your Honor. It's fine.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman.
That'd be great.
I don't understand why it was green. Is there something wrong with the piece of paper?
Yes.
I don't know. Mikey's making me shotgun. Sorry.
Okay. You see what's displayed on the screen?
Yes.
It's only part of the text string, but does that look like it's an accurate representation of what you're looking at?
Yes.
And this is a series of texts on or about January 28th and 29th of 2022, is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. Albert, you needed something as simple as a ride. You were just asking Allie to give you a ride, is that right?
Yes.
And that's because you said that it's common for you guys to text back and forth. You just texted her, hey, you can get me now, is that right?
Yes.
And then you texted if it's easier, and then she said, okay, I'm dropping people off, and there was an exchange back and forth, is that right?
Yeah.
And there were at least 8 texts between the two of you, if you just count them up real quick, just about getting picked up.
Yeah.
But if you scroll down a little bit, after the end of that text string that ends at 12:10 a.m. and it says okay, you see the next date?
Yes.
What date is that?
February 20th.
That's nearly a month later, correct?
Ooh.
Correct.
So there was a gap after January 29th, 2022, when you found out that a man had ended up dead on your uncle's lawn, and you and Allie did not text each other for a month, not once.
Objection.
Sustained is to that form. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true that on January 29th, later in the day, you found out about John O'Keefe and his condition, the fact that he died?
Objection.
Is that true? Did you find out that day?
Yes.
Okay.
So you were well aware of, we can take that down. You were well aware, Mr. Albert, that something very tragic had happened at your uncle's house, Brian Albert's house, right?
Correct.
And you were aware that you had been at your uncle's house that night, right?
Correct.
You're also aware that, according to you, Allie McCabe was the one that picked you up and took you from that location.
Correct.
And notwithstanding the fact of this tragedy, you and Allie didn't text each other one time for a month. Is that right?
I don't think that's correct.
Then what happened to it?
We text on other platforms too. So I'd say other apps.
So is there a reason why you decided for the next month to just switch platforms to maybe Snapchat?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No reason.
Are you sure that you switched platforms?
I'd say so, yeah.
Why did you switch platforms?
We go back and forth, I'd say, between platforms texting.
You switched platforms because you know that Snapchat deletes all communications, correct?
Objection.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Do you know that Snapchat has an auto delete function on it?
If your app is set to that, yes.
Your app was set to that, wasn't it?
I do not remember that.
So again, your memory is failing you.
Can you rephrase
Nice.
that?
Sure. Once
You're
again,
fucking stupid. I
your memory
gotta
is
quit
failing.
swearing so I can use
Objection.
clips on this.
Objection.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Isn't it true, Mr. Albert,
You're not very bright.
that you either switched platforms or deleted the texts because you did not want your text communications with Allie McCabe to be discovered?
Objection.
Overruled.
Is that right?
It's not true.
So where are those communications?
I do not know.
Can't produce them right now, can you?
I'm not sure.
So in the days,
Look on
hours,
your phone. Are they there right now?
days, and weeks following the death of John O'Keefe, your communications with your best friend, Allie, the person who gave you a ride home that night, they're just gone. Right?
Well, Booterberry
not
raises a
sure.
good point here. Why does the first message on the 20th say on a Zoom? What is that a reply to?
You
There's
testified
nothing
that
before
you
it.
provided
Interesting question.
Exhibit 81, what we're just looking at, and you're still looking at in front of you, as a screenshot of your communications on January 29th, 2022 with Allie McKay, correct? It was a screenshot.
You say that again? Sorry.
You provided that item as a screenshot, not as an actual text to law enforcement. Is that right?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
Okay, do you know what a screenshot is?
Yes.
What's a
Are you-
screenshot?
When you take a picture on your phone.
That's a picture from your phone.
Yes.
Okay, so it is a screenshot.
Yes, it is a screenshot.
Okay, that's my question.
Oh,
Oh, Jesus.
this
Guy's not holding my
guy.
headache.
When you met with Michael
Seriously.
Proctor in that interview that lasted 10 minutes, Michael Proctor did not get the actual texts underlying that screenshot, did he?
No.
He never looked for those actual texts, did he?
No.
He never asked you for those actual texts, did he?
No.
And you never volunteered to give him those actual texts, did you?
I think
Please,
I
do
think
God
I
have a text
volunteered
for us,
to, yeah.
please? Please have
On
a
that
record.
day?
Oh no, not on that day, no.
Not on that day. You know what a phone extraction is?
Not familiar.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a phone imaging or a phone extraction or a forensic extraction? Any of those words sound familiar?
Not really, no.
Michael Proctor never
Would you like me
asked
to do an
you-
anal
Fair
extraction?
to say
Does that
no.
help you
Give that
understand
answer.
what it
Michael
is?
Proctor never asked you if you could do a phone extraction of your cell phone, did he?
No.
He never asked if he could take a forensic image of your phone, did he?
No.
Do you know what metadata is?
Nope.
You know the dates and times. You take a photo on your phone. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time. It'll capture the date and time of the photo. You know that?
Objection.
I'll hear this answer and it may end your inquiry. Do you know that?
Why would that
Pretty
in that
sure.
inquiry?
Pretty sure I do, yeah.
Have you ever heard of that data, the dates and times and geolocations? Have you ever heard of that referred to as metadata?
No.
Okay, so I'll just use the word date and time.
Okay.
You know that on your phone, if you pull up a text, you can go behind the text and see the date and time that it was actually sent or received, right?
Yeah.
But on a screenshot, you're left with just what's on the screen. Can't go behind the screenshot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You provided just the screenshot, ultimately, not the actual text, correct?
Correct.
But in September of 2023, Michael Proctor's partner, a man by the name of Yuri Buknik, you know that name?
Yeah.
He contacted you and said he wanted to talk about your text messages, correct?
I don't remember.
Do you remember that you told Yuri Buknik when he asked about the text messages, you did not have the screenshot anymore. You sent it to your father, Chris.
I don't remember that.
Do you recall telling Yuri Buknik if he wanted to get the screenshot, you weren't going to give it to him. He'd have to get it from your dad.
Do not remember that.
You remember Trooper Buknik agreeing with you and saying, sure, I'll just call your dad and get it from him.
Don't remember that.
You don't remember giving, you certainly don't remember ever giving Trooper Buknik a copy of that screenshot.
No, I don't remember.
Because you didn't, did you?
I do not remember.
But you did give it to your dad, right?
I do not remember.
Do you remember anything about this case?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll withdraw.
That's a little argumentative.
Whoever's coughing really does.
To this day, you've never been required to present your phone to any law enforcement agent.
Nope.
It was never imaged. It was never downloaded.
Nope.
You still have the same phone?
Yes.
If you had
Do you want to pull it out and show
the
us?
actual texts, on your phone. Why did you provide law enforcement with just a screenshot?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I'm not sure.
This guy's really annoying me.
You were shown a photo yesterday of you in February
That is a piercing cough.
2022 with your aunt. Remember that photo? Mr. Lally showed you that photo?
Correct.
And he said he wanted you to pay special attention to your face and hands and extremities. Asked you if there was anything unusual about that.
Yes.
You said no. In that photo, absolutely nothing unusual in February of 2022 about you, your face, your hands, fists, nothing, right?
Correct.
I want to draw your attention to February 26th, same month, less than a month after the incident. You were at a place called Fenway Johnny's with your buddies, weren't you?
Correct.
John, I have two documents I'd like to mark for identification with the court's permission to show Mr. Lally.
Okay.
While he's doing that, Mexican Vader said, did anyone else catch the lack of date change between the late hours of 28th and after midnight on the 29th? Possible Photoshop and or manipulation of the screenshot or text. See, I saw a lot of people talking about that online. And I looked through my messages, and if it's a constant conversation, it doesn't update the dates on my Samsung, on my Android. I don't know what it does on iPhone. It'll wait for like a pause, and then if I start another conversation like 2 o'clock in the morning, it'll change the date over. But if it's a constant flow of communication, it doesn't put a date break in the middle of my text.
May we approach?
I may as well see them. I'll end up seeing them in the rest.
Show the judge. All right. Let's all play a game. What is Hayden doing?
I dropped a piece of my model, okay?
Okay. just curious. Comments on the honorable Master Colin Albert here and his lovely testimony.
Honorable? I wouldn't believe this kid if he told me it was raining and I stepped outside.
Well, he wouldn't know it's raining to begin with.
That is a fair point. Not only are some of the things that he said been inconsistent, but more to the point, the fact that the fact they've been able to walk him back on a number of the details that he's given 2 minutes before, and that now he suddenly can't remember the things or the phrasing that he's been using as well. I really hope the jury's paying attention to this. I really do.
Well, I don't know how they can't be. It's pretty egregious what he's doing. Like seriously, if I was if I was a normal person and his dad, I would like reach out and slap him upside the head just for being an obstreperous youth. There's a word we don't use enough: obstreperous.
You were so excited when you read that in that pleading, weren't you?
Yeah, you need it more. Has there been a single witness beside the vet lady who hasn't been caught in a lie? The truck driver, Ricky, what's his face, that was on yesterday. He was just like, hey, but I think he was honest, and he contradicted a lot of what the state was saying. Their big deal was he moved. They saw the car parked there, and then everybody else said, oh, they saw the car move forward a little bit. He said, nah, the car didn't move. The whole time I was there. It was right in front of me. It never moved. So, yeah, he seemed to be just like, hey, I'm here. They called me. I'm testifying. Bye. He didn't have any. His memory lapses. He's like, yeah, I don't recall. Seemed to be very honest and genuine.
Right. I mean,
now Morgan has said someone's mic is popping. Is my mic still popping, or is he or she way behind?
No, you're still popping. Do you want me to actually bring it up when it happens? Because I will be interrupting every 15, 20 seconds or so.
Well, that sounds bad. Did it help last time when I reset the roadcaster?
I think for about 10 minutes or so.
Weird.
Because I mean, I saw on X that there was a individual that drove to the house where it is now, and given that it's it's nice and clear and all that sort of stuff, but what they did was, despite the fact that people are living there, and I'm not advocating for this at any point, people, they drove into the driveway and then reversed out to see what the view was like. And from that video, I don't care if it's snowing, there is no way in hell you come and go from that house without seeing a dead body laying on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, when the car backs up and swings around, the headlights sweep across the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, people, get back,
God,
get
what are
back to
they talking
business.
about? So what's the over under on them having the text message records?
Oh, I hope somehow they do.
As do I.
That would be awesome.
Because what Jackson needs is a gotcha moment. Like, he's pointing out a lot of inconsistencies and that sort of thing with Colin's testimony. But at the same time, I just want that extra. Well, you're saying that you have no idea about these. You're saying you have no information on it. But here we have records that you texted such and such this many times in that like 4-month period. Was it 4 months? I think it was 4 months. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think. Okay, this is a long sidebar.
It really
This is really long.
Something serious is going on. In the meantime, here, people, I shall regale you with the model that I've just finished building.
Oh, sweet. Gundam.
Yeah. Yeah, Wing
Fun
Zero
stuff.
from the Endless Waltz movie.
Oh.
So, I'm just building the weapons, because who doesn't like a big-ass gun?
Not sure I want an ass gun, whether it's big or small.
Smart ass.
Gun.
Thank you, Nicola. You can tell my wife that.
But is she still? You've had it for like a year and a half now.
It's been like 6 months.
Oh, it seems like it's been longer than that.
It does feel like longer.
Oh, come on. What is going on here? I keep having to check to make sure it's not paused, or I've turned the volume off or something.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh, now they're coming back. Okay, good.
Oh, here we go. No, see, Cowpoke, whenever I think of ass gun, I think of the guy that wore a butt plug into an MRI and he had the anal rail gun.
So you're putting it in evidence before you display it?
May I approach one more time?
Yes.
Surround.
Sweet.
Sir, do you recognize those two documents?
Yes.
Taking a look at the one that's got multiple documents on it, I don't want you to tell me what's on it. Just tell me if you recognize the picture that's in the middle to
Yes,
the right.
quite. There's photos.
Okay. And then looking at the second document, which I believe is marked EE for identification at this point, does that appear to be a true and accurate enlargement of the first thumbnail?
Yes.
And those were taken on that photo was taken on February 26th, 2022.
Yes.
At the place called, I think it's called Finway Johnny's, right?
Correct.
May I publish the
Put it into evidence first.
move for the admission of just EE?
So you need to get it to the court reporter.
May I, I'm sorry, just FF? May I approach?
Yes.
Bev,
Let me have a
cut that shit out.
FF.
Okay, I'll give it to Madam Court Reporter to put the exhibit number on it.
The exhibit 85, Your Honor. Thank you. Excuse me,
Ma'am?
Yes.
You see that photograph that's being displayed?
Yes.
Are you in that photograph?
Yes.
Which person are you?
In the middle.
And about what time of day was it? That's you in the middle?
Correct.
Okay. About what time of day was this taken?
Not sure.
Was it at an event, some sort of just you were at a bar?
Just at a bar.
Okay. I want you to take a look at your right hand.
You muted, Jeff.
Can you see from there clearly your right hand?
Yes.
What do you notice about your right hand?
It's cut up.
Your knuckles are injured, correct?
Correct.
Now, you didn't take
Oh,
this
no
photo, did you?
Nope.
That photo was never on your phone. In other words, it wasn't a friend of yours that took the photo.
No.
This was taken by an event staff member, is that right?
Correct.
It was later posted on social media, isn't that right?
Correct.
You could not access the metadata, you couldn't access the time and date of that photo, correct?
Not sure what you mean by
You
that.
couldn't manipulate the time or date this photo was taken?
No.
This photo was completely sort of out of your control, isn't that right?
Correct.
And it was controlled by the event staff at Fenway Johnny's.
Correct.
And on February
Please tell me you got
26th,
the date on this.
less than a month after the incident at Fairview, that's what your right knuckles look like, correct?
Correct.
And this is a true and accurate depiction of your condition on or about February 26th, correct?
Correct.
I don't like it. It's a big leap. A lot of
How'd you
things
get
could happen to
those
those
injuries?
knuckles inside that
So,
period.
lights up.
I was at a party, my house party, my senior year, and I remember it being icy out, and it was kind of like a steep hill of a driveway, and I was walking up the driveway, and I slipped down the driveway, and I tried to catch myself, but I had something in my left hand, so I had tried to brace myself with my right hand, and I ended up sliding a little bit down the driveway.
What'd you have in your left hand?
If I remember, it was either my phone or a beverage.
So according to you, you fell on ice and injured your knuckles,
Testing.
as we just saw in that photograph,
Weird.
right across the top here.
Better. At least we can hear you.
So you fell onto
What do you mean? At least I can hear me. It's
pavement,
better. Does that mean it
asphalt,
sucks?
Yes.
and you
Yeah,
braced
you're
yourself
ducking
when you
again.
fell
It's-
your
it's
entire
dropping
body weight by putting your right hand down in a fist, and you injured your right fist, just the top of the knuckles on your right fist when you fell down.
Correct.
Seriously?
Objection. Your Honor.
Sustained.
You put your palms down? You fell?
Wow.
Fell
Okay.
down, I laid on your right fist and just injured the top portion of your knuckles.
Correct.
Those injuries to your knuckles look an awful lot like the type of injuries that you would get in a
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
He would have been better off
Never been
saying he
in a
got into a
fight,
fight with someone.
Other than with my brothers, no.
You've
I
never
got
been in a
pissed and
fight
punched a brick wall.
Nope.
Anything.
Yeah.
your entire life.
Other than with my brothers, no.
Never hurt your knuckles before.
Not sure what you mean.
Never hurt your knuckles in a fight.
No.
And in this case, when you fell down on the asphalt, it was only the top four knuckles of your right hand, correct?
Correct.
You right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Box?
Maybe he's like doing
Nope.
a superhero jump and
I'm
landing.
sorry,
You know, there's like
don't
fist
box.
punches the ground.
Nope.
You've never boxed?
Never.
You ever practiced boxing?
I've hit the bag for like cardio, but other than that, no.
When you hit the bag, is that considered boxing?
I wouldn't say so. Not
It's not jumping
really.
rope, is it, Mr. Albert?
No.
It's not doing curls.
Nope.
Not doing push-ups or calisthenics.
It's not jumping rope.
It's hitting a bag, correct?
Yeah.
That's boxing, right?
I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
When
This
you-
kid.
When that photograph was taken at Fenway Johnny's, those knuckles looked like they had been re-injured from a prior injury. No?
No.
Just falling on the asphalt.
Correct.
Any other cuts or scrapes from that terrible fall on the asphalt?
Terrible fall.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll rephrase it. Any other cuts or scrapes or injuries from that fall?
I don't remember.
Just your right knuckles.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he wasn't involved by the way the questioning was going, but yeah, now I think he was.
Oh, he was absolutely involved. That was my main thing going forward, was that it
You
was...
said you've never been in a fight before.
Nope.
Did you post a video? You threatened that you're going to...
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained. I'll see you at sidebar on this.
Uh-oh.
I'm familiar with this.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Somebody's got a video of somebody fighting or threatening to fight. Somebody's got, are we going to get to see it?
I'm going to say no, because she's already kept prior
Yeah.
impeachment evidence out.
Yeah. When she said, I am familiar with this video. So yeah, well, no, see, by the way they were testifying, the way they were talking, or the past few witnesses and whatnot, like, yeah, he was just gone. And then, you know, the what's her face, Allison, she's like, yeah, we just, you picked him up, took him up. I think, okay, maybe he wasn't there. Maybe he wasn't involved directly, but he is such a lying little fuckwit. Now it's I mean, yeah. If his injured knuckles have nothing to do with John, then why isn't he saying what actually did hurt his knuckles? Falling on the asphalt.
No way in hell.
I'm a clumsy mother effer, and I fall constantly. And never once have I fallen on my knuckles.
Yeah, exactly. Show me the way that you fall so that you land only on your knuckles. Without, say, for example, your wrist giving out or your arm bending in a different way so that there is another injury.
I'm just counting the scars on the palms of my hands. 7 from falling down. 0 from falling on my... Who falls on their knuckles?
I think
Like,
Jackson's at best.
even
Seriously?
even superhero landings, they land with their fingertips, not their knuckles.
That's a good point.
Aussie Tank, the burning question is how did you fall? I fall all the damn time. I am absolutely totally uncoordinated. Oh my lord, this kid, he is such a liar.
What do you reckon? Get to the end of his testimony, have Jackson go, Your Honor, I'd move for a directed verdict.
Dude, this is rough. I wish the camera would have been on the lawyer when he like, seriously? Wow.
One job, Lauren Crumb. One job.
Mandalore Y01 with the $5 super chat says, I tripped, so I decided to punch the earth into submission. Pretty much. Can we get a mug that just says seriously?
Yes, I will arrange it. Oh my! Oh, I'd need to do a caricature of Jackson just with a speech bubble, just saying seriously with his hands in the air.
Oh Lord, have mercy! I don't know what to say. I really don't. This is brutal.
So I'm going to send you out for a recess. We have some work we have to do.
Are they going to voir dire the?
Get you coffee and bagels. I apologize for that, but we'll be a little bit. So we'll send you out for the morning recess.
All hands to the court, please. Here, follow me.
No, Eleanor, I, it was a joke. There's no way in hell she allows a directed verdict.
Nah, no. Yeah, I think they're gonna do a little voir dire on the.
They're gonna have to
on the video or on the line of questioning anyway.
And how much you want to bet she limits the allowable questions as much as possible?
So, Mr. Albert, you stay right where you are. We're going to see a couple of short videos, and then
hey, cool. We get to
Mr.
see
Jackson will ask you questions, and then Mr. Lally will ask you questions. Then I'll hear from the lawyers, and then I'll take a break, and you'll get a break before we go back.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Lally man, lally me bananas.
No, I do not.
Okay. All right. So the first one, are they both on the same? They're separate. All right. So let's mark them each for identification.
The one I'm holding in my right hand,
Bring it up.
I'll call advantage.
Okay. Thank you.
Good luck. The one in my left hand, with the court's permission, this is, I'll call this bang bang.
All right. Thank you. All right. So play GG first, please.
Yes, sir.
Your opinion is boys. I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
All right.
Okay. And the next one, please.
He looks a little more aggressive than he does there on the stand. A little different persona.
Yes.
I'm going to take those two videos one at a time. I'm going to call one the advantage voice and one the bang bang. For purposes of my questioning, Mr. Albert, specifically regarding the advantage voice video, did you recognize it?
Yes.
How did you recognize it?
What do you mean by
How
that?
do you recognize it? Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. When was that taken?
Maybe my sophomore year in high school. Around.
Where were you?
I don't remember. Where.
So your sophomore year in high school, that's about 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, around.
You indicated on cross-examination, you've never been in a fight.
No.
Indicating that you have no violent tendencies and no violent proclivities.
To be fair, I still think he would have got his ass whooped.
What were you saying on that video?
That I would beat them up.
Did you say you would beat them up, or did you say, I will fuck you up?
I said I will F you up.
No, you didn't say, I will F you up. What did you actually say?
Make him say it. Say the word.
That I would fuck them up.
You also
Say the
said
words.
Something about beating somebody's ass, right?
Correct.
What did that mean?
That I would beat them up.
So when you said, I will fuck you up and I will beat your ass, was that a friendly invitation?
No.
That was a threat, correct?
I don't know if I would call it a
what
threat.
Don't?
I will
I'm not
beat
sure.
your fucking ass. That sounds a little bit like a threat to me, you douche cannon.
I'm not going to do it. If someone did, walked up to you and said, I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. You wouldn't take that as a threat?
If they walked up to me, yeah.
But if they didn't walk up and just shouted it across the street and stood there and said, I will fuck you up, I will beat your ass. That's not a threat.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you are sure, sir.
All right, so that I'll strike at the Commonwealth standing up.
Yes, a little argumentative.
Were you threatening these advantage boys, guys, whoever they are?
Yeah, kinda.
Were you
Kinda.
threatening them with violence?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. In the second video, you said, fuck you a number of times. And then you said, KO, you said, pull up, KO, bang, bang. Right?
Correct.
Explain that to me.
I'm not sure. Like, explain what I said.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
Pull up, bitch. Right?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Those same advantage kids.
Got it. So you're threatening them yet again a second time.
Yeah.
What does pull up mean?
Like, come by.
Yeah, meaning get over here. Right?
Yep.
Because when you do, I'm going to fuck you up. Right?
Yeah.
Meaning I'm going to fight you and I'm going to put you down. Correct?
Correct.
That was your threat to them.
Correct.
Can we get a time on this second one?
Of course. When was the second one, the bang bang threat made? Before or after the advantage?
I think this is valid impeachment.
As do I.
I'm not sure.
I'm not going to let it in.
After?
Might have been this
I think she
same
will.
night. I really don't know.
Well, you're dressed completely differently, so it's probably not the same night. You would agree with that?
Unless I could have changed my shirt. I do that often.
Okay. So you changed your shirt and on the same night. You just decided to threaten the guys twice. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Was it around the same time frame?
Around you?
All right. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Albert, you do like to fight, don't you?
Nope.
The fact of the matter is, you showed up at another hearing, at another proceeding, to testify, and you showed up with busted knuckles then too, didn't you?
Oh
Do not
no.
remember.
Oh no.
July 27th, 2023, you remember being at another hearing?
Yes.
You remember being questioned by some attorneys?
Yes.
Do you remember the question about the condition of your fist? Literally at the hearing?
Yeah.
It was obvious to the person that was questioning you that you had an injury to your fist, correct?
Objection.
That's a student.
I'll rephrase that. My apologies, Your Honor. You were asked questions by the questioner about the condition, the physical condition of your fist, weren't you?
Correct.
And you claimed at that time, well, let me back up for a second, ask a different question. They were asking because you had open injuries on your right knuckles yet again, didn't you?
Correct.
Did you fall down again?
You said, I must have been hitting a heavy bag, right?
Yeah.
Boxing again.
Hit in the bag, yeah.
Just working out, right?
Yep.
Didn't have any injuries on your left hand though, did you?
No.
How many times have you hit a heavy bag?
I'm not sure.
How many times have you worked out with a heavy bag? That's an unfair question. I'll ask a better one. How many times have you worked out on a heavy bag?
I'm not sure.
When you work out on a heavy bag, you wrap your hands, don't you?
I do not know.
I see. So only your right hand gets injured over and over and over and over again. Not your left.
I'm not
Only
sure.
a big giant
You know,
R
your
word
bag would open.
would hit a heavy bag without gloves
I'm
or
not sure.
wrapped in
Yet
their
again.
hands.
You're right-handed, aren't you?
Yes.
So when you throw a haymaker, your hardest punch, that's with your right fist, correct?
Objection.
Is that right?
I would say they have equal. They're equal. I don't know. Not
That's
sure.
all I have.
All right, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor.
She has to let this come in because he said he has never fought anyone and he doesn't like to fight.
Mr. Albert,
There you go, bingo card. Outside the court sirens, mark your bingo cards, people. Siren outside.
When those videos made, you were a sophomore in high school, is that right?
Around that, yeah.
How old were you when you were a sophomore in high school?
16 years old.
And so that would have been at least a couple years before January of 2022, correct?
Yeah.
And as far as within those videos, well, as far as timing, so those videos were around the same time, both sort of same time period within your sophomore year?
Correct.
And relatively close to each other, is that correct?
Correct.
And who or what is an advantage?
It's a club hockey team.
And what, if any, relationship did you have with that club hockey
team? None.
What, if any?
And so, as far as what videos you were made and sending, were there any videos from that group that were made and sent to you?
Text messages.
And with regard to those text messages, generally speaking, what do they say?
Just name calling me and my friends, calling us like pussies and stuff like that.
So this was sort of a back and forth, is that correct?
Correct.
And do you even play hockey?
Nope.
And were these people around your age at that time?
Yeah.
And were they kids from the same town or different?
I don't even know where they're from.
Did you even really know these kids or what their names were or anything like that?
Not at all.
And was there ever any sort of physical fight or even a physical interaction with these other kids?
Never.
Did you ever even meet them face to face?
Never.
And with regard to Mr. O'Keefe, your neighbor who lived at the top of the street when you lived in Seven Meadows, you ever threaten him?
Never.
Did he ever threaten you?
Never.
Did you ever have any sort of back and forth exchange similar to what was up on the screen?
Never.
I have nothing further.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I, very briefly? You indicated, Mr. Albert, that this was your sophomore year in high school. But you were asked that exact same question under oath, the time frame of these videos in that other hearing, weren't you?
I believe so, yes.
Oof.
You indicated under oath in that hearing that it looked like it was your junior or senior year in school, correct?
Maybe I'm not sure.
Oh no!
Exactly what I said.
Your senior year would have been what year, sir?
2022, 21, 22.
Same year John O'Keefe died.
Correct.
May I have more, Your Honor?
Yes.
That's all I have at this time, Your Honor.
Ooh, all right, Judge.
All right, I will hear you.
Make your arguments and let the judge
Your Honor, you
decide.
can make the argument outside the presence of the witness.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you to step out of this.
So Hayden, do you think she's going to let it in? I do.
I think she should be made to, but I don't think she will. I think she'll do whatever hop, skip, and a jump she can to keep it out. But we'll see.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think she'll let it in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how much she'll limit the testimony, but I think we're going to see those videos.
Okay, yeah, you cannot hear in that background.
No problem. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity. Your Honor, it's very clear that these videos are highly, highly relevant, given the sanitized testimony that this witness has tried to present to this jury. He's indicated that he's never been in a fight, doesn't have any violent proclivities, he doesn't have any violent tendencies. It's not in his countenance to do this. Mr. Lally opened this
So
door.
you only got that through the voir dire.
Understood.
Okay, so the violent tendencies only came in through the voir dire.
Well, that's not true. In front of the jury, he said, I've never been in a fight.
Okay, but that specific question, you said violent tendencies, it was unobjected to, but that was voir dire.
Understood. Mr. Lally clearly opened this door yesterday. He presented a photograph or a series of photographs with this witness's family. His arm draped over his aunt, he's with his mom, looking very family-oriented, etc. And Mr. Lally went further than that and specifically said, I want you to take a look at your face, your hands, your extremities. Do you see anything unusual or
Good point.
odd about that? That's why I believe the court allowed, based on the testimony today, allowed the photograph in February of 2022 of the actual photo that cannot be manipulated. It's in the hands of a third party of the busted and injured knuckles on this witness's right hand. He then said, I've never been in a fight. Those two videos belie that testimony. There is no way to look at those two videos and say, this is not relevant to the issue of whether or not he has been in a fight.
But tell me how whether he's been in a fight is relevant to an issue in this case. That's what you have to do.
Because the police should have, the Massachusetts State Police should have, if they were doing their due diligence, they should have investigated this young man. They should have investigated every single person that was in that house, in or around the home of where John O'Keefe was found, the Albert home, and they didn't. They did nothing to investigate whether or not there was someone in the house who tended to fight, who wanted to get in physical altercations, who had a propensity to get in physical altercations, who was a fighter by nature, who threatened to fight, who threatened violence. That's what this young man has indicated he does constantly. I'm surprised he didn't show up in this hearing with busted knuckles.
So does this go to your third party culprit defense?
It goes to both. It certainly goes to both, but yes, it also goes to our third party culprit defense as well. This is a focus of, I believe this should be a focus of the juror's attention in terms of, is there a third party who could have done this that evidence points to that may have done this? Absolutely. This evidence, what we now have, points directly in that it's focused in that direction. So yes, both it should have been investigated, and Colin Albert is somebody that the jurors should focus their opinion on or their attention on to determine whether or not he could have or was involved in the death of John O'Keefe.
All right, Mr. Lally.
Yes, Your Honor. Commonwealth would submit did not open the door in reference to this, showing a photograph of someone and what they physically looked like.
He drew attention to his knuckles.
Questions that were asked about fighting or anything of that nature were by counsel. So counsel thinks he opened his own door. I don't think that's exactly how that works. This is nothing more than rank speculation. It has nothing, bears no relevance whatsoever to this case. You're talking about something that is dated at least a year, if not two, prior to the incidents in this case.
But what if it's as Mr. Jackson pointed out, the prior testimony, his senior year, which is, of course, is much closer?
Well, I think even assuming that, as far as relevance is concerned, Your Honor, there is no evidence here of a fight at all. There is no evidence that this
swelling around his right eye
present at the house at the same time as the victim. There's no evidence of any animus between
Allison said
this
he was
witness
there
and the victim. There is no evidence whatsoever, as I stated, that he was even present at the same place at the same time on the night with John O'Keefe, on the night that John O'Keefe was killed. There is no evidence from even these videos of any physical altercation having taken place. So whatever juvenile beef that he and his friends had with individuals from another town, there's no evidence whatsoever of physical altercation. There's no evidence that there's a physical altercation even in this case. So to allow counsel to introduce this purely for prejudicial reasons and to invite the jury to speculate as to what it is essentially does nothing but divert the jury's attention away from the facts of the case and what the evidence of the case is, and more so is just there's no evidence of anything in this case.
No shit, and you're the one that has brought it.
Sorry, may I begin briefly?
Yes.
In terms of evidence of a fight, I don't know what Mr. Lau is talking about. He says there's no evidence of a fight in this case. John O'Keefe looks like he had been beaten to death. He's got two black eyes, a laceration over his right eye, a laceration over his nose, a giant wound on the back of his head, and he doesn't look like he was hit by a car. He looks like he was in a physical altercation. It's as plain as the nose on your face, and we have evidence that we have witnesses who are going to propound that evidence, present that evidence. So Mr. Lally and the Commonwealth can take whatever position they want to. If they think those injuries are consistent with being hit by a 6,000-pound truck, they can knock themselves out. That is not the state of the case, and they don't get to dictate the state of the facts. The facts speak for themselves. Second, with regard to whether or not Mr. Albert was home that night or at the home that night in a position to be able to engage in a physical altercation, which, by the way, takes about that long, that is predicated on his own family members covering for him. Every one of the witnesses who testified basically are friends and families of the Alberts. And keep in mind, Your Honor, I don't think it's lost on anybody that Colin Albert was hidden, specifically and intentionally hidden from all of law enforcement for the first several months of this investigation.
True.
Nobody was willing to even say
he was
at the
noticeably
house. That is
left off the
highly,
list of
highly
people that were at the
suspicious.
house.
Given the gravity of what we have now, I would take an issue with one thing Mr. Lally said. He said this diverts the jurors' attention. I would agree it diverts their attention. It diverts their attention to somebody who possibly could be involved with this, who was not properly investigated. And I'll submit.
Okay.
Judge.
So may I have those 2 flash drives, please? Yes. No, I was asking them. All right. So I will. Well, why don't we take a 15-minute recess? I'll look at these and we'll come out.
Court, all right.
Wow, 15 minutes and she's going to make her decision. You don't think she's going to let it in?
$5 says those flash drives mysteriously stopped working.
that wouldn't happen. I'm sure they have backups, but so you don't think she's going to let it in? That's your call.
I'll be surprised if she does. My inclination, the way she was talking.
Now don't be Colin Albert. Say what you think. Is she going to let it in? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question, Mr. Hayden.
You're absolutely right. It is a yes or no question.
So what is she going to let it in or not?
No.
Reason?
Because she has done everything she can so far in this case to make sure that certain evidence has been left out. And I feel like this falls into the same category. And I will be very surprised if she allows it in. But that's just,
okay.
You know what? Maybe I'm being unfair because I'm going off propensity evidence for how she's ruled on various things previously. But for me, it's just a case of what I've come to expect from her. So, no, I very much think she's going to do everything she can to keep it out.
Okay. I'm going to say she's going to let it in. I think she's going to, because I think this is so clear that she absolutely has to. I mean, clearly everything, what the defense lawyer, what Jackson said about the picture yesterday, when he was saying, you've got the picture of him, and he said, look at him. There's no injuries on him. There, look at his hands, look at his arms, look at everything. There's nothing amiss. That, I mean, clearly they should be allowed to show pictures where it did have something amiss. And then with him saying, I've never been in a fight. I'm not like to fight guy. I don't have the propensity to do that. And to show and just to show that he in fact does. I think this door was kicked so damn wide open that
I agree with you on that.
Avoid it.
I agree that the door was kicked wide open. I think that, but I mean, there was other evidence in the case that was clearly for impeachment purposes that should have been let in as well, where she's clearly made a bad call and ruled against it. Just because it's so blatant in this instance. If she lets it in, because I will put a caveat on it because I am a lawyer, if she lets it in, I believe that it will be after doing as much mental gymnastics as she can until she realizes she's backed into a corner.
Well, see, and you're saying she won't let it in because she doesn't let other things in. I'm saying this is such a clear case that she's already backed into a corner and she'll have no choice but to let it in. Chat, what do you people think? 1, if you think she's going to let it in, and 2, if you think she's not going to let this video impeachment evidence in. One if it doesn't come in, 2 if it does. 1 if it doesn't come in, 2 if it does. Let's see what chat thinks. A 1 and a 2 so far. 2, okay. People seem to think she's going to let it in. Okay. Oh, now here comes the 1s. There was a rash of 2s. Now there's a rash of 1s. It looks pretty much down the middle here. It's just pretty close. Or I'm going to say it's a toss up in chat. This should be
and you know what that means? That means that over the last 2 years, we have cultivated chats that are informed and able to make their own decisions based on what they're seeing. And I think that's a great thing.
Yep. So, well, there we go. Now, one, it comes in, two, it doesn't. Or is that what I said? I can't remember what I said. Whatever I said. It's too late now. One, it doesn't get. Don't ask me questions. I can't remember. Whatever I said. Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't recall. Could you rephrase the question? Yeah, I forgot what I said, so whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, it looks like we're about 50-50, whatever it was. Yeah, can you rephrase the question? Right. Well, we're going to find out in a few minutes here what she's going to decide. But I have noticed that my evidence collection cup is empty. I've consumed all of the evidence as of now.
I'm getting there. There's still a little bit of snowy, bloody water in the bottom of mine.
So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to talk about yourself a little bit and promote yourself a wee bit here while I F off to the kitchen and grab some more ice. I shall return.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Aussie Overlord, as most of you would be well aware, on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, although I haven't been on Twitch in a long time. I actually did a local stream earlier today. I know they're few and far between, but I'm going to try and work on that. Yeah, covering the sort of what the hell sort of news that really doesn't get enough of coverage. Today we talked about, what do we have? We had the anti-sex beds that are being used at the Paris Olympics. We had, oh, hang on, I've still got most of the stuff open. Hang on, what else do we have? We had a teacher that was griping about getting a gift bag. We had a P-plater here in Victoria that was involved in a fatal crash and had a bumper sticker on the back of his car that said, "I drive like I see you next Tuesday." Oh, we talked about the that photo of the Italian petrol pump, exactly who the guy was and what we know about him. And I didn't get to whether or not tomorrow I will be talking about how an Indiana Supreme Court has decided that tacos are a Mexican-style sandwich, presumably to fit under some sort of government regulation, I assume. We were also talking about a First Amendment case of an individual who had an F cancer license plate and how the Delaware DMV decided that they were trying to remove it from her. After a lengthy court battle, she has won and is now allowed to continue to say F cancer, as well as she should.
Exactly. Wow. So that's Aussie Overlord, everybody. Make sure you go and see it. Have you done the video yet explaining the gas station incident?
Yes, we did that tonight. So
okay.
Like my last episode, the what I'm tentatively calling the what the fuck wake up call for those of you in the US, is my evening stream, my time. So I'm allowed to be a little bit more vulgar, a little bit more crass. The morning show for me, so your evening show is at the moment it's trial streams. I'm watching Karen Reed a few days behind while I work. So if you want to see a lawyer in a fishbowl, feel free to drop by.
Well, I shall go back and watch that because I want to see the explanation.
Fair enough. Well, there you go.
And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show we're going to do Friday. The Friday's hearing delayed. We're going to do it Friday evening U.S. time. That's what we're going to do. We'll watch it at 1.25, maybe 1.5 speed because they're all talking real slow on Friday evening U.S. time. And yeah, that's what's being arranged. And then perchance we shall do our Aussie Overlord football stream there on Sunday morning U.S. time and have all kinds of fun. And just a reminder, we'll do the Karen Reed stuff as always, plus fill in the gaps. We've got a new response from Vince McMahon in his weird saga. We've got some more tonsil twin stuff to go over. So in the gap days, we'll follow some other things. But beginning next weekend, I will be on a 2-week vacation. And during that 2-week vacation, streams will be spotty. I'll have a bit of stuff uploaded, so you get me a couple of times, maybe 3 times a day. Anyway, just on clips and shorts and things like that. But I'll try to do the streams when we can. But from if you happen to be in the Las Vegas area from the 25th to the 27th, did you talk about this yet, Hayden?
Not yet.
Okay. If you happen to be in Vegas anytime at least for me, from the 25th to the 27th, I will be in Las Vegas. Hayden will be there a couple days plus minus either way. Flux will be there. Jess, Moxie Dame is going to be there. We're going to be hanging out with Ari Jacob a little bit. If you just happen to be in the area, you just shoot a DM and we might be able to get together someplace. We're just going to be hanging out and doing stuff. Sort of our little tradition. It's not a formal meetup. It's not a formal gathering. It's not an organized event. We're just going to be there hanging out with each other. And if anybody happens to be there, just let us know. And we might have an hour or so to have a drink or something like that. We'll have to see how it goes. Please don't make special plans or special trips to come there if you don't have to. It's not going to be a let's hang around 24/7 thing. We just happen to be there, but also be in Utah from May 28th until June 7th. I leave early morning on June 8th. There will be 2 organized meetups in Salt Lake. I'm shooting for maybe the evening of the 4th or 5th or 6th of June for the Salt Lake City meetup, and maybe around the first couple of days of June for the Brigham City, Utah meetup. We'll meet up at Peach City and Brigham City, probably meet at Lake Effect Bar or somewhere close there too in Salt Lake City. So those will be the formal official meetups in Utah. And Vegas, I'm just kicking it. I spend a couple of days somewhere else, and then I go to my family for 10 days. So that's what's coming up over the next 3 weeks, and I'll be back here on June 8th.
Yep. So similar sort of scenarios for me, people. I'll be in the air from Thursday evening US time. So there will not be shows Thursday evening or Friday. I'm due to land in Vegas Friday morning because I crossed the international date line. But yeah, I'm going to be wrecked for jet lag for at least 12 hours. So I will be streaming as I can and where I can, but yeah, just keep an eye out.
That's about the best way to describe what's going to be happening. Yeah, so there we go. All right, well, we've got a few more minutes to kill. I guess we can go back here and talk about some things. This has been a very brutal cross-examination of young Colin Albert.
But as bad as it sounds, all of it is well deserved.
And I mean, the defense lawyer Jackson was not misspeaking or exaggerating at all when he says they've tried to sterilize him from this entire situation. Yeah. The original list in the police report of who was present at the house, everybody's name was fully and completely spelled out, except for it was either Brian Albert or Higgins. Can't remember which one of their 2 names was only like the initials, but Colin Albert was never mentioned as being at the house that night. And all of the other witnesses too, they said, well, they didn't say he was there because he left shortly thereafter, so they didn't think it was important to say he was actually there.
Yeah, well, they probably should have thought better than that, because you know what thought he farted, but he shit himself.
Yep. So they've tried to keep any mention of him out as much as possible to all of the police. And I got to admit, I was making comments because when this finishes, we will do. I'll do a premiere of day 12 review. And during day 12 review that I've already got locked and loaded, I was saying he doesn't look like much of a fighter. And I saw some of you people in chat making that same comment at the beginning of the stream. Yeah, he didn't fight anybody. He didn't hit anybody. But because you see him wearing that stupid little turquoise and white checkered shirt that he wore yesterday on the stand. He just put a little sweater over it today. His hair is all, is all wussified. He looks a little bit soft. And then you see those videos of him looking like a typical, New England thug kid. And you're talking shit. So he's got two separate instances with bloody knuckles. So yeah, we're getting a little different view of him. Daily Quick Buy says, Legal Vice is lots of guys who can't fight get in fights all the time. Some of them have badges.
This is true.
Paralegal Liz, who's been a member for 9 months, says, I need a cup of bloody melted snow so bad right now, enjoying you guys from the workplace as I can. Mine may or may not have had some bourbon find its way into it. Oh God! Okay, had a lot of bourbon find its way into it.
So you didn't use a figure then?
Well, I put some Coke and lime in there, and then topped it off. I guess it was more of a top off than I thought. But thank you so much for being a wonderful supporter for 9 months, Paralegal is, and DCV Titan with a Canadian $2. So DMV heard F cancer and said, I resemble that.
That's exactly what happened, yes. And the funny thing is that the woman that actually ordered it said that it was for fight cancer, but they said, well, no, it's not what the colloquialism is. But what I'm surprised by is that the DMV, a government organization, are apparently referring to Urban Dictionary on the regular for definitions as to things.
I'll take some bourbon in my bloody melted snow. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. Friday, I will have to. I don't know if we'll be able to get through the whole Friday thing because it'll be on my Saturday morning. But there's a thing happening here that happens every year on a Saturday about this time of year. It's the New Zealand Wine Festival, where all of the New Zealand vineyards and wine producers come to Korea. They do one in Seoul and one in Busan. It's basically you pay $100 and it's all you can drink wine for 4 hours.
So we'll see you Sunday.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it did, and it's literally 200 people that are just rushing to see how much wine they can possibly consume in 4 hours.
That's fair. Actually, I should preface it as well. I probably won't be streaming too much this weekend either because I'll spend as much time as I can with the Munchkin.
Oh, you're better than me.
I didn't say that. You did.
Lizbot says New Zealand wine is great. Some is, some not so much. But the high end stuff like Cloudy Bay, they don't bother. They don't bother showing up. It's the lesser. It's the lesser. It's the lesser ones. It's the lesser ones that want to show their stuff. And but yeah, like Oyster Bay was there. The Oyster Bay makes some good stuff. I like some Oyster Bay.
Oyster Bay is nice. I like Oyster Bay.
There was a few others that weren't great. There was like 26 different wines available last year, and yeah, must say I had every one of them.
We'll make the most of it.
Well, then they also have a raffle like at the end, and it's interesting to watch some of the people try to walk up to get their prizes. Oh my Lord! Okay, Jules said this is the longest 5-minute break ever. She said 15 minutes, but I don't know how long she's been going so far. Let's find out. She's been going about 17, 18 minutes. It looks like. So yeah, she's been going about 18 minutes. So she's overtime regardless of what she said, Jules. And, Cloak and Glomar with another $5 super chat. I'm about to take last flight home from overseas in this career. I'll see you in Vegas. I have a cloak off as a non-government woman finally.
Fantastic.
I don't know what half of that means, but cool. I'll have Cloak off as a non-governmental woman. Finally. I don't know what that part means, but I know what the first part means.
I believe that the spook is finally taking off her shadow, which will be...
Could be. She's trying to find ways not to allow these videos in. That could be. But I hope I'm right.
Yeah, look, like I said, if it gets let in, someone said it in chat, it's going to be an extremely edited down version. And I still reckon she's going to do everything in her power to make sure that it gets cut out.
Oh, let's talk about that in the remaining time here. What? Because I think it'll be limited. I think they'll get, because if you let one video in, you have to let the other in. I think both videos will come in, but I think there will be some sort of restrictions on the scope of questioning that can be done.
Right. I mean, if she allows any questions at all, I'm going to be shocked. But yes, I take your point.
You are correct about Cloak and Glomer.
Yeah, I know the language.
Well, I didn't want to assume,
No.
Could have been a transitioning coming out party too. I don't know.
No, it was when she said, because I knew what she was traveling for, and when she said that she was taking the cloak off, I sort of gathered. I wouldn't want to guess, but I could probably. I probably could guess as to which department, but let's just say congratulations, happy you're getting out of the field, and yeah, best of luck. How the hell do I attach this?
It's happening with Harper's, as on Colin's screenshot of his text with his cousin, the date has an extra comma. It's fake. So that's I haven't had an iPhone for 6-8 years. I finally cut the cord, so I can't remember how it displays the date, but it on mine it doesn't have that, because it was the date and then it had a comma after the year. It was like month, day, comma, year, comma. And that's not how it shows up on an Android. I don't know how it shows up on an iPhone. I haven't checked, and I haven't talked to anyone who has actually checked to see how old messages show up. I'm opening my old messages, find someone I messaged over a year ago, because I never delete my text because I'm lazy. Yeah, mine will say like Friday, comma, October 13th, comma, 2023. Oh, we're back. Here we go, ladies and germs.
I actually will see counsel at Sidebar. I wasn't sure this was counsel.
Okay, it's happening with Harper's is there should be no comma after the year. I have an iPhone. I just looked. I shall take your word for it, because I personally have no knowledge of that. They haven't showed Ceiling Dion yet. We're still waiting for Ceiling Dion.
So, Jim. And actually, they'll need to be passed down to Nancy.
I figured, Claude.
Sorry.
Oh, Hayden Flux says they have shown Ceiling Dion.
If they did, I was not paying attention, but I will trust.
I didn't see it.
Okay, the witness can take the stand, please.
What was the decision? I guess we find out on the fly, huh?
Did they bring the jury back or not?
So I'll remind you, you're still under oath.
Right, so Mr. Jackson, Madam Court Reporter has two marked for
They're coming
identification. Are you moving to introduce those into evidence at this point?
Damn.
Okay.
He's letting them in.
So let's
Okay,
wait a minute.
Awesome. Let's see how much he likes the fight guy now after the cross-examination. Mr. I've never been in a fight. I don't like to fight. I'm not likes to fight guy. I don't have that personality. I'm just this nerdy looking dweeb with a speech impediment on the stand and my coiffed hair and
Thank you.
checkered shirt and an R-worded sweater.
Careful there, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Albert, before we took a break, you had mentioned that you've never been in a fight.
Correct.
You stand by that testimony?
Correct.
I'd like
Are
to
you
take a look at the
sure you
video.
stand by
It's
that
been
testimony?
Marked for, sorry, it's evidence number 86. I'm going to play this short video for you, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Yo, your advantage boys. I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
Did you recognize what was depicted in that video?
Yes.
Who was that?
Me.
Approximately when was that video taken?
Around my sophomore year in high school.
Sophomore year or senior year in high school?
Say around my sophomore year in high school.
Why do you say your sophomore year when you previously, well, let me ask it a different way. Did you previously testify at a different hearing back in July of 2023?
Yes.
You were asked about this video, weren't you?
Yes.
You were asked about another video at the same time, correct?
Correct.
And in that hearing, you said you believe that was taken closer to your junior year or senior year in high school, correct?
Correct.
And that was under the oath,
Correct.
same oath that you took here.
Correct.
Closer in time to the events in question. And at that time, you said your junior year or senior year in high school, correct?
Correct.
If it was your senior year in high school, what year would that have been?
21, 22. So 2021, 2022.
Going into 2022, correct?
Yeah.
Same year that John O'Keefe passed away.
Correct.
What did you mean by, I'm gonna fuck you up?
That I was going to beat them up.
Like a
Actually,
fight?
you didn't say beat them up. You said, I'm gonna beat your ass, didn't you?
Yes.
That was a threat, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was a threat directed at some other individuals with whom you had some sort of a beef or a problem.
Correct.
And your resolution of that problem is, I'm gonna fuck you up, I'm gonna beat your ass, right?
Correct.
But you've never been in a fight.
Never.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, could we play evidence number 87?
Yes.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Let's go, boy. You be locked up. KO. Bang, bang.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Mr. Albert, who was that in that video?
Me.
Was that taken around the same time?
Yes.
You indicated, you're a bitch, bro. Right?
Correct.
Was that a threat?
Yes.
More of an insult?
Yeah. More of an insult.
Calling someone out?
Yep.
Making them feel bad?
Yeah.
Prompting them to maybe fight?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'll ask that question differently, Mr. Jackson.
Also called him a pussy, didn't you?
Correct.
Derogatory comment?
Correct.
And then you said, KO, bang, bang, right?
Correct.
What's KO mean?
Knockout.
And what does bang, bang mean?
I'm not sure, honestly.
You were just talking about knocking somebody out.
Correct.
And the bang, bang just sort of flowed.
Exactly.
Was that a threat?
Yes.
And these threats that we've just talked about, that we've just seen, these are threats of physical violence, right?
Correct.
You're not threatening to hurt their feelings or send them a mean text, right?
No.
You're threatening to kick their ass, right?
Correct.
To get physical, right?
Yes.
To ball up your fists and beat the shit out of them.
Objection.
Can you answer that? Will you answer that, please?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Say it again.
You were threatening to ball up your fist and beat the heck out of him.
Objection.
I'll allow it. Is that what you were threatening to do?
Yes.
When you testified in a separate proceeding in July 2023, you actually showed up for questioning live, correct?
Yes.
And you showed up at the time in July of 2023 with your knuckles busted up again, didn't you?
Correct.
And you were asked about your knuckles at that time, correct?
Correct.
And that time you said, oh no, I didn't fall down on black ice and slip and break my fall with my knuckles like you said here. You said, oh, I hit a heavy bag and busted my knuckles up on a heavy bag, right?
Correct.
So that heavy bag was you practicing boxing, right?
It was me getting cardio, yes.
Which is in a form of fighting,
In a form, yeah.
punching a bag.
Yep.
That's how you choose to do your cardio.
Sometimes.
And you're right-handed,
Yes.
and it was your right hand that was busted up.
Correct.
So when you throw your hardest punch, that's with your right hand, isn't it?
I'd say, I'm not sure. I'd say they're equal.
You're equally strong with both hands.
I'd say so.
So in your words, you can fuck somebody up with either hand, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Hey,
No, I'm not saying that.
you just said you were equally strong.
Okay, Mr. Lally?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, let's see what redirect happens here.
Come on,
This ain't
dipshit,
gonna be
let's
good.
see what you got.
Before I begin, may we approach?
Okay.
Can you tell me what to do, Judge? Because I just wet myself. Equally, he just said I'm equally strong with both hands, but I don't know if I could F people up with both hands. What does that even mean? And I think that was a good question from the defense, because like I said, the injuries were to his right eye, were to O'Keefe's right eye and right side of his face, as he was called with like a left hook. So he said, yeah, you could punch him just as hard with the left hand as the right hand.
I would have been surprised if that little dipshit's ego let him not answer that as well.
Man. Of all the answers, I fell down on my knuckles. Ugh. Karen D has been a member for 5 months. Says Jeff, does he know what question is coming? Can anyone speak to him during the break? No.
You're not supposed to, no. But, I mean, after what we've seen in this case.
But I mean, he was on the stand during the voir dire questioning, so he knew he was going to get it again if the judge let it in. So he knew he was going to have to answer the same questions twice. Ouch. What do you think, Strawberry? Do you think Colin did it? Do you think Colin did it? Is Colin a fighter? There you go. Strawberry has no opinion. Just looking at me like, what? No treat? Oh my Lord. All right. We got another long sidebar about all this.
Oh shit.
Redirect, I think, is going to be weak. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not it's a crapshoot as it is, but yeah, I agree with you. How do you rehabilitate that? So when you were hitting the bag, you were not trying. You weren't trying to increase your prowess with hitting people, were you? Like,
well, see, I mean, a boxer or someone who's doing cardio, I can't imagine them hitting the a heavy bag without tape or gloves on their hand. But even assuming that someone would do that, would you continue to do it until you had literally rubbed all of the skin off your knuckles if you were just for cardio doing it?
No, look, and to play devil's advocate, because you know that's what I love doing, if the kid has anger issues, maybe that's something that his dad taught him to do, was to just belt the bag until his knuckles were bloody. I really don't care because it still shows violent tendencies. So I'm calling an awful lot of bullshit in this.
All right, let's see what's going on. Well, see, Daily Quick Bites. You're talking about martial arts. He's talking about doing cardio in the gym. That's different. That's two totally different animals.
Yes.
Mr. Albert, just to be clear, Allie McCabe is not your cousin, correct?
Correct.
She's a friend of yours who you have relatives in common, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, when you and I and other individuals met prior to your testimony in this case, it was just one time, is that correct?
Correct.
Did we talk about something called sequestration?
Not that I remember, no.
Did we talk about having conversations with other witnesses while the case was pending or going on?
No.
Now, you testified when you were asked on cross-examination that you haven't had any conversations with any other witnesses, you haven't watched any coverage, you haven't done anything, correct?
Correct.
Was that at my
Which
instruction?
is a crock of shit. Because you
No.
read what people were saying about
Is
it.
that something that you've done at any point in time as far as talking to any other witnesses, including your parents?
No.
Now, you were asked some questions on cross-examination about your family's relationship sort of with the Proctor family, correct? Correct. And taking the Proctor family as it was put as sort of an entity, what I'm going to ask you about is purely about Trooper Michael Proctor. How many times have you seen him in your life?
Maybe 5, 6 times.
And when about would those be, and what would the nature of those interactions be?
Other than when I got interviewed last time with Trooper Proctor and one of his partners, other than that, I didn't see him for years, I want to say, since I was a young kid.
And when you were a young kid, just so we're clear, as far as young.
What's this, the last time he
how
helped me
young?
out of a crime?
Maybe saw him. I could have seen him at
Which
like
he
a
did.
football game or something, but other than that, like pretty young, like 12, 11, 13 years old.
And whereabout or what was the context in which you would see him? Was it you and him together, or was it a group setting, family? How would you come into contact?
We've been over the grandmother's house a couple of times, but that's pretty much the only time I would see him.
Now, as far as the photograph that you were shown, as far as a wedding was concerned, you were a ring bearer in that wedding?
Correct.
And that was over 10 years ago, you said?
Yes.
But how old would you have been in that particular photograph or in that particular wedding?
If I had to guess, 8 or 9, maybe around there.
Do you have any independent memory of that wedding or anything about that wedding?
None.
I just gotta find somewhere to put this model now.
And as far as your family being close, again, sort of the Proctor family as an entity, is your family close with all of the Proctors, or is your family close with Courtney Proctor, or is your family close with Michael Proctor?
Mostly just like my aunt and my mom's friendly with Courtney, I'd say. Not really close with Michael.
There are some questions about the text messages that were up on the screen yesterday and up on the screen today. As far as sort of gap between January 28th and February, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, you indicated that there were other means by which you would have communicated with your friend Allie McCabe, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that consistent with, is that only Allie McCabe, or is that consistent with other friends that you were communicating?
All my friends.
You would sort of switch between call, text, Snapchat,
So they were all
other
in
apps,
on it?
things like that.
Exactly.
All his rowdy friends are
And,
coming over tonight.
The top of that screen was the text
I was gonna
messages
beat the
regarding
shit out of
picking you up on 34 Fairview on January 28th or 29th, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any idea when the last time was? Text before that? Was it days, weeks, months?
Not sure.
That period sort of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That period of sort of January 28th until February, is that, how would you characterize that? Is that a normal gap between times that you would have text communications with Alan McCabe?
On iMessage, yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
And from photographs that you were shown yesterday during your direct examination, when I was asking you questions, those were photographs from February 11th of 2022, correct?
Correct.
And Ms. McCabe was present at the house for your cousin Jack coming home from the Marine Corps as well?
Correct.
You saw her on February 11th, correct?
Yes.
Now, the other photographs that you were shown today at some sort of bar or establishment, were those taken before or after the time at your uncle's house when your cousin Jack came home from the Marines?
After.
And after by days, weeks, if you know?
Weeks.
Now, with regard to questions you were asked about injuries to your hands, those are two separate incidents, one in February when you slipped on ice, is that correct?
Correct.
And one in July when you had struck a heavy bag, correct?
Correct.
When you struck a heavy bag and got sort of injuries on your hands, were you wearing anything on your hand when you hit the heavy bag?
Nothing. Nope.
Have you received any sort of training in boxing, taking classes, anything like that?
Never.
It's something you do as part of your workout, correct?
Correct.
You're an athlete, correct?
I'd like to say so, yeah.
You played sports in high school, correct?
Yeah.
And at least at the beginning of college, you played sports in college, correct?
Correct.
Now, you were asked about things about that February 26th photo at
The coxswain on the local douche canoe team.
and you were asked about control over the photograph, correct?
Say that again.
You were asked different questions about your control over what you could do or alter with respect to the photograph, correct?
Yes, correct.
Ultimately, though, you were in control about whether or not you were photographed, correct?
Yes.
Nobody forced you to go up and pose with your friends or anything like that.
Nope.
Now, as far as those videos that you were just shown, how old were you?
Around 16, I'd say around 16 years old.
So you believe it was sometime in your sophomore year of high school?
Yes, that's what I believe.
And so that would have been a couple years before your senior year of high school, which you were in January 2022, correct?
Correct.
And this video, as far as you recall who you were referencing in those videos?
An Advantage club hockey team.
So a club hockey team, were they about the same age as you?
Yes.
And did you know any of those people?
Nope.
But you were happy
And
with them.
were they the club hockey team? Was that within the same town as you were?
I'm not sure.
Did you play hockey
Nope.
at any point in time in high school?
Never.
And was this just you sending them videos, or was this some sort of argument or something going back and forth?
It was an argument going back and forth.
So what, if anything, did you or any of your friends receive in regard to from that club hockey team?
We received texts like being name called, like calling pussies and words like that.
So do you recall which came first as far as the text or the video?
I do not recall.
But similar, the text message that you received from this club hockey team, were they similar in nature to the videos that you posted?
Correct.
Do you recall what the argument was about with this other group of kids from this club hockey team?
Yeah, it was the girls in our friend group. A couple of the girls in our friend group like hung out with them a few times. So like all my guy friends got a little salty about it. So that's why we kind of sent videos back and forth.
So you were teenage kids arguing about girls, correct?
Exactly.
And at any point in time, did your friend group and this club hockey team ever meet up at all?
Never.
Any sort of physical altercation or anything like that?
Nope.
It's like a bad retelling of the movie,
Indicated that you've never
like
really
The
been in a
Outsiders
fight
or The
except for with
Warriors.
your brothers, correct?
Correct.
And when you would get in a fight with your brothers, how old were you then?
Younger, I'd say. Yeah, younger.
Younger, like as young as you were when you were ring bearer in somebody's wedding?
Yeah.
Now, with regard to John O'Keefe, your neighbor who lived a couple doors down, you ever threaten John O'Keefe?
Never.
John O'Keefe ever threaten you?
Never.
Did you ever get in an argument about girls?
Nope.
Any animus or any conflict that you can recall ever between yourself and Mr. O'Keefe?
Never.
Now, you were asked some questions on cross-examination regarding whether or not you've been thinking about this case for the last 2.5 years. You recall that?
Yes.
And you indicated that you had not, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Sorry.
And you had indicated in your testimony in response to that questioning, essentially not until people were writing things about you on the internet, correct? Correct. You expound upon that. Can you explain to the jury sort of when that occurred and what were the things that were being written about you on?
I'd say about a little over a year. It started when people on Twitter, Instagram, social media were just coming at my family, calling us murderers, harassing us, showing up to our doorsteps, our sports games. I mean, we couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us, and it's very terrible.
And how long has that gone on for?
The past year and change, a couple months. Past year and a couple months, I'd say.
To be clear, that night that you were at 34 Fairview Road at your uncle's house, January 28th and 29th, at any point in time did you see John O'Keefe at that house, come into that house, around that house, at any point in time that you did?
Never.
Nothing further.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Albert, you're all set. I think that piece of paper goes back to Mr. Jackson. Did you leave something for the witness stand?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lally, your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The Commonwealth will call Mr. Matthew McCabe to the stand.
Okay.
Jeff. Oh, yeah, we gotta do that. Overlord, come out and play.
You solemnly swear the evidence given to the court and jury in the case now here should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Pretend I'm sitting in a car.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Warriors is such a good show.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Would you please state your name and spell your last name?
Matthew McCabe, McCabe.
Is this Allison's daddy?
And where do you live, sir?
Canton, Massachusetts.
And how long have you lived in Canton?
Be 20 years this coming June.
And during the time that you have lived in Canton, have you lived at the same place or have you lived at different places?
Different places.
His name was Michael?
Where do you live currently? How long have you lived there?
I think that's what I said, yeah.
Currently, I will be 10 years this June.
And where did you live prior to that?
Prior to that, you want the physical address?
Yes.
15 Sutcliffe Ave. I was there for 10 years as well.
I think we can safely check out
And
heavy Boston
with respect
accent
to
on our
both
bingo cards.
locations, who, if anyone, you live with?
Who, if anyone, bingo!
I live with my wife and my 4 daughters.
And what is your wife's name?
Jennifer.
And how long have you and Jennifer McCabe?
And who, if anyone, Ozzy has bingo.
22, so 23 years in August.
And you have 4 daughters, is that right?
That's correct.
And how old are you?
I'm 49.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my daughters?
That's okay. Your daughters. How old are your daughters?
Those are not his real
20,
teeth.
Yeah,
18,
I was just going to say this guy is obviously a
16
Invisalign client.
and 15.
And your oldest daughter is Allie McCabe, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And do you work, sir?
Yes, I do.
What do you do for work?
I work for a information technology solutions firm.
I just need the judge
And
to
how long have you
sigh.
been doing that?
2009. So I think I'm coming on 15 years.
It's been
And
coming for
does your wife
15
work?
years, you lucky son of a
No.
bitch.
What does your wife do?
Stay at home, raises the kids.
Trad wife.
Homemaker.
I could turn your attention to January 28th and to January 29th of 2022. You recall those days?
Yes, I do.
Recall what days
I don't know, Booch. Maybe he does have a fake
Friday
eye.
into Saturday.
And did you
Kinda
work
looks
that
like
day
it.
on the Friday?
Yes, I did.
And at that point, do you recall, were you working in an office or remotely?
I don't recall if that specific day I was in the office. Sometimes I'd go in, sometimes I'd work from home. So I don't recall if I actually was physically in the office. Sometimes I'll go in for a few hours. So I don't recall exactly if I was home or in the office that day.
So regardless, at some point, you sort of wrap up work for the day, and where did you go?
Yes, finished up work and met some friends at a restaurant in Canton before my daughter's basketball game.
And so on that evening, your daughter had a basketball game, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
One more, and I'm going to call lip smacking.
Who did she play for at that time?
Lip
She
smacking
played for
witness.
Canton High
Check it
School.
off.
At the varsity game?
Yes.
And which of your daughters, as far as age is concerned, which of your daughters was playing basketball for Canton High School at that time?
That would be my second oldest, who's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
my second oldest.
And so you, after work, had met some other people at a establishment in Canton, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Where did you go?
The establishment was called the Canton Junction Pub or Canton Junction. I don't know the full name, but just went by the Junction.
And who, if anyone, did you meet there, just in general?
Handful of folks that play whose daughters play basketball on the same team with my daughter.
The way he's
Sort of a
holding
group
his
of
lips,
parents
it's
of
like he
black
just
kids
got
on
that
basketball.
veneer in the last couple
Yes,
of
that's
days
correct.
before his
Was
trial.
wife
He's like, he's
Jennifer there
still
with you
uncomfortable.
at that time as well?
Yes, that's correct.
He's uncomfortable with
And
his
about how
new
long were
tooth
you at
veneer.
the junction?
Games 6:30. Give or take hour and a half.
And girls varsity basketball, was there sort of like
Nancy
typical time that
Corin sex is still no mention of Karen Reed. They haven't even proved that he's
Yes.
dead at this point.
Typically 6 or 6:30 would be the normal time. I don't remember if it was a 6:30 start that night or actually I think it was a 6:30 start, but typically 6 or 6:30.
So sometime around 6 or 6:30, you make your way over to the high school, is that correct?
That is correct.
And in that, I mean, was this a home game, a road game, if you recall?
That evening it was a home game.
Do you recall anything about the game as far as who they were playing or won or anything like that?
Yes, it was. They were playing the town of Foxborough High School, and they did not win. They went into overtime and lost.
Now, with respect
God, we're
to
going back this far
your
again.
wife, Jennifer, as the kids were growing up, what if anything, what if any relationship?
See, look at the way he's
did she have
holding
as
his
far
lips.
as
This is
with respect to
that
kids
that
now?
veneer on his teeth is a new thing.
It's grown as like the youth years. Jennifer was a basketball coach and coached throughout the years. Coached a couple of my daughters.
So she coached, and with respect to the daughter that was playing at the high school game that night, was that one of the daughters that she had coached?
Yes, that's correct.
Fair to assume she had also coached several of the girls that were on the varsity basketball team with your daughter, correct?
Yes, a few of them. Yes.
Now, when you get to Canton High School to the basketball game, is there sort of a typical area where you would sit or people you would congregate with while you're watching the game?
Yes, we'd sit up in the bleachers. Usually the parents from the home side would tend to sit in the same area.
So you sit there, you watch the game, game is over, and then what is
Game
sort of the
over,
plan
man.
from there?
Game
or
over.
Where do you go?
After the game, I drove my younger two daughters back home.
So your whole family was there for the game, is that correct?
My wife and my 2 younger daughters. My older daughter was there. She wasn't with us, but she was there as well.
She was a student at Canton High School at that time.
She was
as well.
with us in spirit.
Yes, she was.
So she's sitting with the other students, is that correct?
Yes, I'm assuming. I don't recall where she sat, but most likely with the other students.
So you drove your 2 daughters home, and then where did you go from?
After dropping my daughters off, my wife and I proceeded to the waterfall in Canton Center.
And do you recall what you were just in one vehicle when you left the house?
This is
and went to the
Allison
junction and went
McCabe's
to the
father.
High school game, back to the house, and to the waterfall was in the same vehicle.
Yes, we were in the same vehicle.
And do you recall what kind of vehicle it was or whose vehicle it was?
It was the family vehicle. It was my wife's vehicle. I don't know, what was it? I don't know if it was a Suburban or a Yukon. I forget which one, what brand it was.
Some kind of SUV, is it?
Yes, a large SUV.
And why did you go to the waterfall?
We went to the waterfall. My wife informed me that her sister was at the waterfall with her niece and a few other people, and we went to go meet them. My understanding, it was my nephew's birthday, either that day or the day after, and they were going to meet out at the waterfall for his birthday.
And just to be clear, as far as who we're talking about, your wife's sister, what's her name?
Nicole Albert.
And is Nicole married?
Yes, she is.
And what's her husband's name?
Brian Albert.
And the niece that you're talking about that was out there with your sister-in-law, what's her name?
Her name is Caitlin Albert.
And
Albert.
the nephew of yours whose birthday it was or was going to be, what's his name?
His name is Brian as well.
So essentially
This
Brian
guy's
Albert,
pissing me
Jr.,
off.
even if he's not.
Yes, I believe he's a junior, yes.
Now, with regard to the basketball parents and the other people that you had been with at the junction and then at the game, what, if any, communication was there amongst sort of the basketball parents that evening or any other?
Yes, so we had a group text with the basketball parents, a handful of us, where after some of the games, we would meet up afterwards. This evening, I know I sent a text out saying where we were going, because we were obviously meeting her sister. And a few of the parents responded where they were going. We kind of split up, except for one couple decided to meet us at the waterfall out of that group text.
And the couple that decided to meet you at the waterfall, who were they?
That would be Nick and Karina Kolakisis.
When you arrive at the waterfall, you and your wife, do you recall where it was that you parked in relation to the waterfall?
Yes, if you're looking at the front door of the waterfall, we were parked in the parking lot down the left.
And the waterfall sort of shares its parking lot or its establishment with a condo complex, is that correct?
That is correct.
You parked somewhere in that parking lot?
Correct, I parked in the parking lot, yes.
And when you came into the waterfall, who, if anyone, did you see there and where did you go?
When we walked into the waterfall, we identified where Jen's sister and their party was sitting.
Where were they sitting in relation to the waterfall?
When you walk in the front door, I believe there's 3 long tables that are set up. We passed, they were in the 3rd table, long table closest to the bar. Across from, there was also a band. They were right across from a little band.
There was a live band there as well?
Yes, there was.
Prior to you and your wife entering into the waterfall, recall what, if anything, you did or who, if anyone, you were talking to in the parking lot?
Yes, on the car ride from my house to the waterfall, and while I was in the parking lot, I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone.
And do you recall generally what the conversation was about?
Yes, I do.
And what was it about?
It was about my daughter, my oldest daughter, Allie, who we mentioned. It was about her hockey team. And Her hockey coach. I was talking to one of the hockey coaches.
And when you were talking to this person, this is inside the car, is that correct?
That is correct.
And despite it being sort of a wife's car, was your phone hooked up to the speakers? Did you have a Bluetooth or anything like that?
I don't know if I connected mine to the Bluetooth or not. I don't recall if I was connected to the Bluetooth or not. I know my phone connects, so possibly. I don't know for sure if it was 100% connected that evening.
Now, with respect to it being your wife's car, is there, when both of you are in the car, is there sort of a default as to which of your phones would connect to the Bluetooth, yours versus hers?
If look at it that way, it would be my wife's because it was her car.
So the car would probably recognize her device over your device, correct?
That is correct.
Now,
actually, I started the call definitely on my phone because my kids were I was on the call for a while. So I think I had my kids still in the car when I was dropping them off. So I wouldn't have them listening to the call. So I must have been on, again, I don't remember, but I must have been listening on my, holding it in my hand.
and when you come into the waterfall, do you recall about what time that was?
I did 9 o'clock, give or take a couple minutes.
And again, you come over to a table closest to the bar, and who's in the group when you get there?
When we arrived, it was Nicole, Caitlin, Caitlin's boyfriend, Tristan, Chris Albert, and Julie Albert. We were also joined by Nick Kolakisis, who I mentioned. I just don't remember if Nick was already in or if Nick walked in right after me, but Nick and I we got there similar times. I just don't know if he was already sitting in the bar or standing there when I walked in, or if he came in right after. Oh, and Jen, obviously.
And to be clear, people that were with you at this high top table in this sort of group, either them that you're talking about or throughout the course of the evening, these were people that were either sort of family or friends of yours or your wife's?
Oh, yes, that's correct. Yeah, family and friends, correct.
And so whether or not you and Mr. Kolakisis came in at the same time or slightly staggered, at some point he came in as well, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And with respect, obviously you were out and you were at a bar, correct?
Yes.
And from what you recall, you were drinking and most, if not all, of the other people were drinking as well?
Yes, yeah, everybody at the table, to my recollection, was drinking.
And do you recall
Everybody was
specifically what you
drinking,
were on that night?
fighting.
I do.
And what were you drinking?
I was drinking vodka with water and a splash of Crystal Light.
What?
And is that something that you would normally drink?
No.
And why were you drinking that?
I was in a diet competition with other people in the town, so I was trying to stay away from any beer, which would be what I typically would drink.
And as far as your observations of the other people there throughout the course of the night, did you note anyone in your group, either at that time or subsequent in the night, to be sort of overly intoxicated or drunk or anything like that?
No.
And as far as the other people in your group, as far as drinking was concerned, at that time or any time later in the night, was their drinking sort of commensurate with the amount that you were drinking?
I wasn't paying attention to see who was drinking, how much they were drinking. I don't even know how many I had. Maybe at least 3, maybe 5.
Well, that's not going to help you because
sure.
Basically that's like
but give or take
70
something
calories.
there. But again, I wasn't paying attention to see if anybody was drinking faster than somebody else or et cetera.
So basically you just ingested 400 calories for no
in that
reason.
sense, sort of how long were you at the waterfall then?
Got there at 9 and left a little after 12, so a little over 3 hours.
So roughly 9 o'clock to about midnight or so, correct?
Yes, I recall leaving a little after midnight, correct.
Now, the initial group that you walked over to around the time that you got there, did that group expand or contract? Did people come or leave? Or can you explain sort of the order of that over the course of the year?
Yes. Shortly after we settled in, Nick's wife showed up. Could have been 15, 20 minutes. I don't remember the exact time, but Nick's wife, Karina, came. And give or take 45 minutes, an hour after that, Brian Albert Sr. and Brian Higgins showed up. And around 11-ish, give or take, I don't know the exact time, Karen Reed and John O'Keefe showed up as well.
Let me ask you a little bit about some of those other. But let me ask first about, as far as Caitlin's boyfriend, Mr. Morris, how long was he there?
I don't recall how long he was there. I do know he left. He had mentioned something about working that evening. There was obviously a snowstorm coming in that evening, and he had mentioned that he was going to go home for a little bit before he had to go out and, I don't know if he was plowing or shoveling or doing something, but he was going to be going out that evening to plow, I believe.
That's what I'm going to be doing Friday, going out to plow.
Albert and Brian Albert, their brothers. Is that right?
My.
Yes, that's correct.
And Christopher Albert's wife is Julie Albert. Is that correct?
Yes.
And she is also friends with your wife, Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Yes.
And been so for years, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yes, they've been friends for years.
Now, you mentioned someone by the name of Brian Higgins. Did you know Brian?
I hope you're
prior to that
faking,
evening?
Ozzy.
Yes.
And how did you know him?
I had met Brian a few times, social settings. I recall meeting him at the Junction one evening. I believe I met him at a graduation party. I don't know how many times I met Brian, but I met him maybe 3, 4 times. I don't know exactly how many. So I knew who he was.
You knew who he was as far as
move on.
he was friend or friendly with your brother-in-law, Brian Albert, correct?
Yes.
And that's how you knew him, was through Brian Albert?
Yes.
And do you know where Brian Albert Sr. and Brian Higgins had been prior to them coming to Waterfall?
Yes, I was informed that they were in New York, coming back from New York from a funeral of a New York police officer.
And both of them, as far as you knew, Brian Albert Sr. and Brian Higgins, they were in law enforcement, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that at some point around 11 or so, John O'Keefe and Karen Reed came into the Waterfall, correct?
Yes.
And just to be clear, when you speak of Karen Reed, that's someone that you had met prior to this evening as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Clarity purposes for the record, do you see Ms. Reed in court today?
Yes, I do.
Could you just describe it as to where she's seated or an article of clothing?
She is seated at the table with her attorneys. You want me to describe her clothing?
If you could.
Black.
What was she wearing? Tell us.
I don't know,
What
a
was she
sweater, I'm not sure, dress.
Just as a record of like identification.
Yes.
Hey, what was she
Now,
wearing?
with regard to Mr. O'Keefe first.
Yeah,
how
he is
was
not
it that
comfortable
you-
with these new veneers he's got on his face.
I've met John O'Keefe when he started to be the caretaker for his niece and nephew after their parents had passed.
And specifically, you're referring to Patrick and Kaylee Furbush, is that correct?
That is correct.
Their mother and father tragically passed away, and Mr. O'Keefe then became their guardian, correct?
That is correct.
And when you met Mr. O'Keefe, is that when you were living at the house on Sutcliffe?
Yes.
And where was that house in relation to where Mr. O'Keefe initially lived with his niece and nephew?
Couple hundred yards, 2 different streets, the neighborhood with multiple streets. My house was on Sutcliffe, drive down Sutcliffe, maybe pass 1, 2, 3, 4 houses, took a right, and that was John. That was the street that the kids lived on, maybe 4 houses up on the right.
And with reference to, you mentioned that you had 4 daughters, is that correct?
Yes.
And were any of your daughters around the same age as John's niece, Kay?
Yes, my third daughter is the same age, same grade as Kaylee.
And about this time that John had moved in this house, close to the house you were living on Sutcliffe, about how old was your daughter and his niece Kaylee?
Ooh, I believe it was kindergarten. How old would you be in kindergarten?
Kindergarten.
7?
I think kindergarten's fine. So fair to say they were very young, correct?
Yes.
And with
Yes,
reference,
it's the
to
Vincent
kids,
D'Onofrio.
what if any
Exactly. I was kind of
beyond
thinking
sort of
that.
being neighbors, what if any relationship that either you or your wife have with regard to Mr. O'Keefe?
That explains the crystal ball.
I'm sorry. Just the door. I was trying to. No, the door was shaking, so I couldn't hear the end of it.
I got my kids in
Around
the
that time that Mr.
kindergarten.
O'Keefe moved in with his niece and nephew and took over guardianship of them.
Yes.
What, if any, relationship beyond being neighbors did yourself and or your wife have with respect to Mr. O'Keefe?
Oh, yeah, we had a good relationship, especially my wife. She was having the kids the same age.
Burning.
Kaylee and my
Tab
daughter.
and vodka. That's my mom. Holy
She was very
shit.
involved with
that was my mom.
helping him out,
Tab and vodka.
whether it's rides to various events. Throughout those years,
Love you, Mom.
I'd also coached Kaylee myself a couple times in soccer. And my wife also coached her in basketball. So play dates, things of that nature. Various times would go out with John, or he would meet up somewhere where we were. So a friendly relationship where, John was, in essence, acting as a mother and a father. And so you do a lot of communicating through my wife in regards to needing help and things of that nature.
And in particular, his niece Kaylee and your daughter, who was around the same age, were they friends?
Yes, they were friends.
And about how close were they, particularly around that young age?
They were very close in the young age.
Got to pour one out.
Kaylee
for
would spend a lot
moms.
of time at our house. Spend a lot of time sleeping over. So they were very close.
And Kaylee in particular, was she, how close was she with your wife, Jennifer?
Kaylee was close with Jen. Kaylee was mature, well beyond the other girls in regards to she was bright and she was very articulate. So she could have conversations with the adults much better than the other kids. Having 4 girls, she was a bright kid.
Now, at some point, Mr. O'Keefe and the kids moved from that house, and you also moved from the house on Sutcliffe, correct?
That is correct.
And do you recall the order of that? Was it you that moved first, or they that moved first?
I'm pretty sure I moved first. Yes.
And about how far away from the house on Sutcliffe was your new house?
It's right up the street, driving in a car, 2 minutes. I don't know, mile and a half. I'm not sure the exact distance, but not far away.
And where did John and the kids move?
They moved a little further away from, they're probably a couple miles away, 2.5, 3 miles. I don't know the exact distance. Not far. That side of town, everything's fairly close.
And specifically, they moved to a house on Meadows Avenue, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And the nature of your relationship, you and your wife's relationship with John and the kids and your daughter and Kaylee.
Oh, can we get to a fucking point of some sort?
Jeebus. The original neighborhood.
Yes.
Now, with respect to the defendant, Ms. Reed, when was it that you first met her?
Fascinating story. Any chance you're nearing the end?
It's COVID 2020. We met her summertime of, I think it was the COVID year. I think it was 2020 summer.
Can you recall the circumstances of that or how you came to meet her at that time?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain to the jury what were the circumstances? Where did you meet her?
John had reached out to my wife, Jen. It was on a Saturday. I don't know if they connected that Saturday or the Friday, but they connected. John asked if he could come by the house with the kids. we have a pool. So he wanted to come by with the kids swimming and wanted to introduce Karen to us. Specifically wanted to introduce Karen to my wife, Jen.
You know why that was?
Yes, because they were dating, and he informed my wife that Karen had MS, and my wife has MS. So he thought it'd be good for the two of them to get to know each other, could have conversations with each other, obviously both suffering from MS.
How long has your wife suffered from MS?
I'm gonna say, I think she's been suffering for a while, but I'm gonna say her diagnosis, maybe 9 years. I don't remember the exact date. I'm gonna say about 9 years.
And so, Mr. O'Keefe, Ms. Reed, the defendant, and 2 children came over the house that day, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And about how often did you see Ms. Reed from that summer of 2020 until about the time of January 2022?
I would see her. There was a couple other times that John and Karen came by the house with the kids, and also see her at sporting events, whether it was soccer, whether it was basketball. Would see her at events, whether it's practices, picking somebody up. I would see Karen around.
And as far as you knew, or what, if anything, let me ask you this. As far as your relationship with Mr. O'Keefe is...
Oh, I am enjoying this scene.
Get on with it!
Someone he was dating, or what was going on with someone he was dating's relationship, is that the kind of...
You know, you could have just let the trial keep playing through that. We wouldn't have missed anything.
You're asking John and I if he would. No, John and I don't recall ever having any conversations about his relationships with me directly.
And that applies to the defendant, Ms. Reed, or applies to any other relationship you had while you were friends, correct?
Correct.
Now, turning your attention back to the waterfall on the evening of the 28th, when Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant come in, where is it that they went in relation to the group at the high top?
They came in and immediately made contact with us, walked right over to our table.
And when they came over to the table, what if anything happened when they came over to the table?
Shaking hands, hugging. How you guys doing? Good to see you. Typical meet and greet when you see somebody that you're friends with.
And if you recall, was there a particular sort of side of the table, or where were you situated in relation to the table? Who, if anyone, was situated around?
Yes, if I was to be looking at the table, long table, I spent most of the time at the end of the table, kind of in the corner on the right side. Nick Kolakisis was right next to me. There was a wall. It's kind of thin, table ends.
We've had a sort
There's
of
a wall right behind
sort
you.
of off on
Nick was
bingo
there. I
card.
was there.
Sort of.
Jen, Karina were on this side most of the time. Brian and Brian were on the opposite side of the table, my recollection. I mean, there was obviously some movement around, but I spent most of the time, again, if the table's coming across, standing on the end. I did sit down for a little bit, if I recall, but definitely on the edge of the long table.
It's fair to say the Kolakisis didn't really know anybody at the table besides yourself and your wife.
Fair to say, they obviously knew who John was. They have a daughter as well, the same age as Kaylee. I don't know if they hung out with them, but fair to say that obviously it was my family and was there, Jen's family. So yes, I'd say in general, correct. You get water.
Well, he's getting a water. David Quickby says, "Did you know Karen has MS?" Yes, I did.
Now, sir, if I could ask, as far as Mr. O'Keefe was concerned, do you recall anything about what he was wearing that night?
I recall it, a baseball cap, and he tends to brim it over a little bit, and shirt and jeans. I don't know exactly what he was wearing.
You recall seeing him at any point in time with any kind of winter coat or heavy coat or anything like that?
Not that I recall. If he had one on, he had one on. I don't recall it.
And as far as his person, his features, what you could see, what, if any, injuries did you observe on him at that time?
I did not see any injuries.
And do you recall what John was drinking that night?
I believe he was drinking Bud Light beer.
Is that pretty typical for him?
Majority of times I saw John, yes, he was drinking Bud Light.
Everybody in Boston.
I do recall
Dylan
when he
Mulvaney,
came to
for
my
fuck's
house for that first meet, he was drinking Bud Light limes, which I thought was interesting, but it was at a pool.
You thought it was interesting?
Maybe it was
You're drinking
summer drink
vodka
for him,
and
I'm not
Crystal
sure.
Light, and you thought...
I think I gave him a hard time.
Calling the kettle black.
Now, with reference to Miss Reed that night, what, if anything, did you observe?
The guy drinking vodka and Crystal Light is
She
giving a
was
hard
drinking
time to the guy drinking Bud Light.
a clear liquid. I just assumed it was a vodka soda or vodka something.
And as far as the absent the Crystal Light, which I'll leave that alone for now, but absent the Crystal Light, was it similar to the drink that you were having that night?
Yes, could have been vodka water. Exactly, I don't know.
Now, do you know where the two of them, being Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant, do you know where they had come from prior to coming into the waterfall?
John had said they were came over from across the street from CF McCarthy's.
Now, let me ask you, as far as you were going to the waterfall, or your understanding was that it was your nephew, Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday, correct?
Yes.
And was he at the waterfall any time that you were there?
No.
And at some point, did you learn where he was?
Yes, I learned he was still home.
And was there any conversation, or do you know why he was still home?
My understanding is I thought we were waiting for him. He never showed up. My understanding was he chose to stay home. I had a couple friends over the house.
Now, from the time that you were in, the waterfall, how would you describe sort of the mood or the demeanor of sort of the group at large?
Everybody was just having a good time, hanging out, socializing, talking. As I said, there was a live band playing for a little bit, and just a normal evening.
And as far as the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe were concerned, from what you could see or your observations, was there any sort of fighting or arguing or anything like that that you observed between the two of them over the course of the evening at the waterfall?
No, I did not.
You mentioned that you had left the waterfall sometime after midnight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And before we get to that, over the course of the evening at the waterfall, did you have occasion to have conversation with either Mr. O'Keefe or the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And would that be both?
Yes.
And starting with Mr. O'Keefe, what, if any, conversation, generally speaking, do you recall having with Mr. O'Keefe that evening?
I believe that night I think that night he was out because Kaylee, maybe they just got the acceptance from Kaylee. He was excited about her acceptance to school, Bishop Fian, a local high school.
And that was something that you were aware of that you applied for to get into that school, correct?
Yes.
And with respect to Ms. Reed, what, if any, conversations you recall in regard to her?
Normal conversation. She, hi, how you doing? Good to see you. She made a reference to myself asking how Jen and I do it. And I said, she was talking about with the 4 girls. How do we do it? How do you raise the 4 girls? You guys look happy. And I actually joked to her. I said, well, we're at a bar. considering, it's obviously, any marriage will tell you have your ups and downs. But brief, conversational, nothing of any substance. Just good to see you.
Now, this time that you're talking about that you're leaving shortly after midnight, is that around the time that sort of the bar was winding down for the evening?
Yes.
The band that had been playing before, were they still playing, or had they?
No, they had stopped earlier, before 12. I don't remember the exact time, but they definitely stopped earlier. There were some people there, but our table was definitely the last table to wrap it up. Well, some people left before me, but the band was packing up packing up all their equipment.
And so in that vein, if you recall, can you tell the jury sort of the order of people from your group and when they left and things of that?
Yes. So Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, and Nicole were packed up, leaving before us. Then my wife, Karen, Karina, John and Chris, they started leaving before us. I think John was delayed, but they walked out, and Nick and I were the last two at the table. I recall us picking up some of the empty glasses and beer bottles, and because I said the bar was right behind us, so I recall picking up the glasses and some of the bottles and bring them to the bar, as well as a couple of the members of the band were sitting on the edge of the bar, and just some brief conversation with them. Good job, guys coming back, things of that nature. And then Nick and I walked out.
Now, over the course of the evening at the waterfall, while you were there, what, if any, conversation was had amongst the group in regard to any plans or where to next, or where people were going after the waterfall?
Yes. As mentioned, thought we were going to meet my nephew. He didn't come out. Found out he had a few friends at the house. When Brian and Nicole were leaving, they had mentioned that Brian was at the house with a couple friends, and we were welcome to come back and have a celebratory drink for his birthday. So he had extended an invite to the table, like, hey, who's ever around wants to come back, you're welcome.
So that was sort of extended to the entirety of the group, is that correct?
That is correct.
And so what was your understanding, at least as far as your plan, you and your wife, Jennifer, when you were leaving the waterfall?
That we'd be stopping by Brian and Nicole's house.
And so prior to that discussion regarding stopping by your brother-in-law, Brian Apple's
What was that?
What, if any,
That one was a little
discussion
too close.
there
I
in
almost
regards
just fell asleep
to
on my
your,
chair.
his brother, Christopher?
Are you going to tough it out, or are you going to abandon us?
Let me ask you.
I'm gonna have to go to bed. I gotta
What,
be
if
up
any,
in
other
like 4 hours.
discussion other than going to your brother?
Ladies and gentlemen, Hayden is leaving us.
In regard to places to go after.
Yes.
Peace out, babes. Have a good time.
There was
Thanks for
discussion
popping in,
about
Hayden,
going
and
to
keeping me company.
D&E
And
Pizza.
he's gone.
That's a
Ozzy
that's
Overlord,
a
everybody.
pizza sub shop that Chris Albert owns in Canton Center, which is 100 yards, whatever, across the street from the waterfall.
And can you describe sort of what was the substance of that discussion and who was involved in that discussion?
Yes, the discussion is we've done that in the past, where we've wrapped up for the night. We've gone over there and turned the ovens on and have made some pizza. In this particular instance, Karen had asked if we could do that. She wanted to go to D&E. She wanted to make pizza. Chris and I were adamant that we were not going to D&E because we were on this diet and we were not going to go subject ourselves to late night pizza. So we said no, we're not going to D&E. Though we had conversations. Karen wanted to go, but we kept saying no, we're not going to go.
When you say you kept saying, was that something that the defendant raised once or more than once?
More than once.
Now, when you leave, you and Mr. Kolokitis, and you walk out of the waterfall, you go over to your car in the parking lot, is that right?
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
And again, by your car, I mean your wife Jennifer's car, is that right?
Yes.
And where was she in relation to the car when you did?
She was already in the car.
So let me ask you, by the way, as far as, where was she seated within the?
Oh, sorry. She was in the driver's seat.
So you get in the front passenger side, is that right?
That's correct.
And when you get into the car, what, if any, communication did you become aware of between your wife and Mr. O'Keefe?
When I got into the vehicle, my wife received a
butt
text
dial
from
each
John,
other?
and it said where to. I think he was looking for the address. I told my wife we were starting to drive out of the parking lot. I told her just call him instead of texting him back.
Rather than text while she's driving, you advise her just call him back.
Correct.
And did she call him?
She did.
And with respect to that Bluetooth that we were discussing earlier within the car, this call from your wife Jennifer to John O'Keefe, was that using the Bluetooth technology?
Bluetooth technology.
I'm assuming it was.
Were you
I don't
using
recall,
the Bluetooth magic?
But I knew he was on the phone asking what the address was.
Let me ask you this. Could you hear both sides of the conversation?
I could hear him, yes.
So you heard your wife talking and you heard John talking, correct?
Yes.
And as far as that communication with reference to where to or where to go or the address, you described to the jury sort of what that conversation was.
Conversation was the address, 34 Fairview. And I actually was definitely mumbling stuff from my seat.
It would be
saying,
understandable.
Come out, take a right, take a left on Sherman and 34 Fairview. And that was that initial call, was just giving him the address and telling him Sherman's the easiest way.
And so when you say that initial call, was there a subsequent call while you were still en route to 34 Fairview?
Yes, there was a call a few minutes later. Somehow, I don't know why, but somehow they didn't know where the house was. I recall, again, my assumption would be they'd come from Sherman, from Chapman Street. My wife referenced a friend of Kaylee's who lives off of Fairview. We said, well, you know where this child lives? He said, yes. Okay. Drive past her street and the house will come up on the left.
And the friend of Kaylee's, what was her name?
Her name is Bella.
So someone, you recall whether it was you or your wife that made reference to Bella's house?
I think we both did. I think I said it, and then I think my wife repeated it.
And that was someone, the Bella child was someone who was friends with both your daughter and with Kaylee, is that correct?
Yes.
Around the same age?
Exact, same age, same grade.
Now, when you were talking on this second conversation, again, you could hear both sides of the conversation, is that right?
That's correct.
And as far as Mr. O'Keefe's side of the conversation, what, if anything, can you say as far as who was coming or who he was with at the time?
He didn't make any reference to, you're asking if he made reference of anybody else? Is that what you're asking?
What I'm asking is when he was saying as far as looking for the house, was he?
Oh, we're on our way. Okay, great, we're on our way.
And from, obviously, the earlier interaction that you have with him and him saying we, what did you infer that we to be?
Karen.
And at any point in time during the conversation that you had where you were hearing both sides, did you hear Miss Reed in the background at any point?
I do not recall hearing Miss Reed, no.
Now, about how far a drive is it, how long a drive is it roughly from the waterfall to 34th Fairview?
The way I would go, 4 minutes, give or take, 5 minutes. There's multiple ways, but depends on how you go, I guess.
And the way that you go, as far as what you're talking about, is that your recollection of how or where your wife drove that night?
Yes.
Now, as far as when you arrive at the house, where did your wife park the vehicle in relation to the house?
She pulled the vehicle into the driveway.
And you're obviously familiar with the address or the residence at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes, I am.
Been there several times before this evening.
Yes, I have.
And essentially, there's two garage doors on the house. There's one on the left, one on the right. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall whether or not your wife parked on the left side of the driveway or the right side?
I believe it was the left, but the driveway is fairly wide. It kind of widens out, not just the two doors. So I don't know if she was right on the left where the, where the walkway is, or if she was, one kind of more in the middle. Because that driveway, you could pull up even on the right of her, but somewhere, I don't know exactly, but she pulled into the driveway.
So she pulls in the driveway, she parks, you guys go in the house, correct?
Yes.
When you get inside the house, who, if anyone, do you observe there?
When we entered the house, we observed Caitlin, Brian Jr. Brian had two friends there, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert Sr.
And where?
Did I say Nicole? Nicole, I don't know if I said Nicole.
And where in the house were they situated?
When I recall, everybody was congregated when you walk in the front door, to your right, there's a table, and then there's an open floor where it goes right to the kitchen and the room with the table. They just flow into each other. So people are surrounding either the island in the kitchen and or the table area.
And from your recollection, is that essentially where people mainly congregated throughout the course of the night that you were there?
Yes.
And about how long a period of time were you there at 34 Fairview that night?
Got there, I'd say a little over an hour. No, got there about 12:20-ish. Left 1:40, 1:40. I don't know the exact time.
How about you finish a sentence first?
So
You got there somewhere closer to 12:30 and you left somewhere closer to about 1:45, 2 a.m. Is that correct?
got there about 12:20, give or take, and then, left about 1:40, 1:45. I don't know the specific time, but somewhere around there.
And similar to the question I asked you about the waterfall, as far as how would you describe sort of the mood or the demeanor of the group in the house when you got there?
Everybody was hanging out. I know Julie was excited. We just showed up. Good to see us. Brian, excited that we came by. Normal.
So, fair to say no tension, no arguments, nothing like that while you were at the house?
No.
Do you recall sort of what you were doing while you were at the house, or what the group was doing?
It's kind of hanging out, talking, sitting around the table, engaging. Music was on. Just having a good time, just hanging out, talking, enjoying each other's company. I do recall my wife put on a foolish video that she wanted to show the kids at the table.
Oops.
But other than that, just socially hanging out with each other.
The foolish video that you're talking about, do you recall what that was?
Yes.
And can you describe that to the jury?
It was a video for the song "It's Raining Men."
And
hallelujah, it's raining
What was
men.
in the video? Why it was a foolish video, as you described?
Well, it's in the family. It's one of Jen's sisters had put on a show before with an umbrella. So at some point, my wife came across this video, and it was people just dancing around. So she was showing my niece and my nephew and the friends the video so they could see. We're kind of picking on my sister-in-law.
And you have another nephew by the name of, I'm sorry. Are you familiar, you mentioned that earlier at the waterfall, there was Christopher and Julie Albert, is that right?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is the most pointless witness ever.
Yes.
What is the point
you know
of
children
this?
as well, is that right?
Yes, I do.
And specifically, you know their middle child, Colin?
Yes.
And at any point in time in the evening when you were there at 34 Fairview Road,
I'll be
was
right
Colin
back.
Albert there at any point?
No, he was not.
You didn't see him that night at all?
Never saw her.
And obviously, you know your daughter, your oldest daughter, Allie, correct?
Yes, I do.
And at any point in time when you were at 34 Fairview, did you see her or vehicle or anything? Did you have any knowledge that your daughter Allie was there at the time that you were?
No, she was not.
She wasn't there. You didn't see her there. You didn't know if she had been there before you or anything like that.
Correct. Correct.
Now, turning back into the house, as far as the group that you were with, was there any point in time that anyone from that group left that sort of general area of the dining room and the kitchen that you recall?
We were in that room. There's a room right next to the kitchen with the doorway that you can walk through. I was seated at the table, but you could walk through the doorway. You know, I know Julie Nagel went into that room because she was looking out the door. And other people could have walked in and out of that room. It's right there, right next to us.
At any point in time over the course of that evening, did you see anybody sort of go upstairs or downstairs to the basement or anywhere else but that general area of those three rooms in the home?
I did not see anybody.
Now, at some point,
The more he talked, the more he reminds me of
mentions,
potentially
that,
criminal
Julie
Sean.
Nagel was looking outside for something. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How long was that in reference to after you arrived and then when that happened?
Again, I don't know the exact time. I'm going to say could have been 3 minutes, could have been 5 minutes, somewhere in that vicinity. We arrived, said hello, good to see everybody. And shortly after, she had mentioned that her brother was there to pick her up.
Now, as far as the Levinson and Miss Nagel, they were friends of your nephew, Brian Albert Jr., is that right?
That's correct.
And did you know them at all at that time, you know, when you arrived there on the 28th?
Miss Levinson, I did not know. First time I met her. I definitely had met Julie before. She had, Brian and her hang out. So I definitely met her. I think she'd been to I don't know if it was previous to this or after this, but Julie has, helped my nephew Brian, when we go on vacation. We have a dog, and Brian would usually be the go-to to, let the dog out, et cetera. And I know Julie has helped him. I just don't know if that was previous to that or after. But I definitely met Julie before, yes.
You had met her before, but essentially met her as a friend of your nephew's, correct?
Yes.
Not someone that you knew particularly well, is that fair to say?
Correct. To know her well.
So after about 3 to 5 minutes or so after you arrived, you observed Ms. Nagel looking outside, correct?
Yes, she was going out the door, correct.
And do you know why she was going out the door?
She said her brother was there to pick her up, but she didn't want to leave.
And at any point in time, did either yourself or your wife extend an offer to either Ms. Nagel or Ms. Levinson or both in regard to getting home?
Yes. We informed, my wife informed them that if they wanted to stay because we just got there, we would be more than willing to drive them home.
And fair to say at this point in time, you didn't even know where Ms. Levinson or Ms. Nagel lived, is that correct?
No idea.
You didn't really know what you signed up for as far as traveling home, is that correct?
Oh, Canton's not that big of a town, so I wasn't too scared. But yeah, I didn't know exactly where they live. I knew they were from Canton.
Now, at some point when Ms. Nagel goes outside, what, if anything, drew your attention to the outside of the house?
When she went outside or when she was opening the door, her or somebody referenced that there was another vehicle out front.
And so upon hearing that, where did you go?
Upon hearing that, we just assumed that was obviously John and Karen. So
make sure you mark up dog
I don't
on your
recall if
bingo
I looked
card.
out the window first or looked out the door first, but I looked out to see the other vehicle out in front of the house.
And just to be clear, when you say window and when you say door, like which window and which?
Well, I was sitting at the table and right behind me is a window. Or if I stood up and took 5 steps, there's the front door of the house. So again.
In addition to sort of the regular front door, is there like a storm door or something that you would have been able to see through? Is that?
That would be the front door, I would call the storm door. That yes, I could see out the front. There's another door. If you're looking at the house, there's your front door, windows, and then there's another door. Julie looked out or went out through that door. I either looked out the window or walked over to the front door, which would be the opposite door.
Regardless if you looked out the window or you looked out the storm door at the front door, when you looked out, what if anything, did you see?
I noticed the big SUV parked in front of the house.
And do you know what color the SUV was?
At the time, I didn't. It was dark. I didn't know if it was a black SUV, a dark green, or dark blue, but it was a dark SUV.
And at the time, were you familiar with either or both of the vehicles of Mr. O'Keefe and or the defendant, Mr.
Yes, I knew Karen drove a dark SUV. I didn't know the make and model. I just knew she drove a dark SUV. I'd seen it at pickup and things of that nature.
And did you know what kind of vehicle that Mr. O'Keefe drove around that time?
I think he had a smaller SUV. I don't remember the make.
Remember what color?
He had no, I don't remember the color of his SUV. He had another car too that he drove around. I remember that. That's about it.
And when you're looking out from either the window or the door, where was the dark SUV in relation to the house?
If you came out that front door, pretty much right in front of the house, parked in front of the house.
Now, you mentioned that Ms. Nagel had left the house through the other door and gone outside. Is that right?
That's correct.
When you looked out, could you see Ms. Nagel or where she had gone?
No, there was another vehicle, again, coming out the front door. If you go to the left, there's a driveway. There was another vehicle over there. I don't know if it was on the street facing this way, if it was pulled in. I would just looked out the front door and noticed the car to be like, oh, that's John. That was my focus. I didn't look for Julie.
As far as the other vehicle, did you observe at least enough to know whether or not it was behind the dark SUV, in front of the dark SUV, or something else?
Yeah, it was to the left. It was equivalent to where the driveway was. And then after the end of the driveway, there was a Jeep. And after the Jeep was the SUV, the dark SUV.
And with respect to, just from your perspective, you're looking out, so the driveway would have been to your left, is that right?
Correct.
Are you familiar with any other sort of landmarks or anything else in the front yard area of your brother-in-law's house?
Yes. So you look out, the driveway's to the left. If you look to the right, there is an island of like maybe rhododendrons, something, bushes. There's a flagpole. Right there's a utility. I believe it's a green utility box. I'm assuming it's utility, kind of on the edge. There's a fire hydrant. All that stuff was to the right side of the looking out the front door.
Now, after you look out this initial time and you see this dark SUV sort of right in front of the door, was that the only time that you looked out, or did you look out on subsequent occasions?
Nope. I looked out again because it'd been a few minutes. Again, 2, 3, 4 minutes. I'm not sure how long, but it'd been a few minutes, and we thought it was weird they hadn't come into the house. Looked out and saw the SUV again.
And when you looked out for the second time, where was the SUV in relation to where it was the first time?
The SUV had moved up the road from the front of the house. It went from spot A to spot B. Now it's further up, more in sync of where the again the flagpole, the utility box, more in sync with that. It had moved up the road. Thought it was weird that they hadn't come in.
Now, as far as the times that you're looking out, did you happen to make any note of sort of, let me ask you this, taking you back to the waterfall just for a second. When you were driving, or your wife was driving from the waterfall to 34 Fairview, what, if anything, did you observe as far as what was the weather?
The snow had started to fall.
And at that initial time that you're going from the waterfall to Fairview Roads, was it sticking to the pavement or anything at that point?
I believe there was a dusting. It was definitely falling. I don't think it was on like the main roads, but definitely a dusting of snow was falling. Correct.
And from that time after you arrived at the house and shortly thereafter, when you observed this dark SUV out in front of the house, had that changed at all as far as the accumulation or sticking to the pavement, roadway, grass, anything like that you saw?
Yes. At some point, at least on their road in their grass, you could see the snow had started to, it definitely was sticking on that road.
Now, you observe it initially in front of the door, then about 3 or 4 minutes later, you observe it further up towards the flag, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And each of these times, you're not just standing at the door or standing at the window, staring out the entire time, correct?
No, just looking out, being like, what the hell are they doing? And going back to my seat.
And at other than those 2 times that you've already testified about, was there any subsequent times after that?
Yes, I definitely looked out a third time out the door.
And the third time that you looked out the door, where was the dark SUV in relation to where it had been the second time?
It had now proceeded further up the road, past the flagpole, past the utility box, past the fire hydrant, more in line with between the yards. I believe there's bushes and trees that separate the Alberts residence to the next residence. So it was actually past the Alberts residence and a little further up. I'd say more on the edge of the property line of the, if you're looking out of the neighbors to their right, if I'm looking out of their house.
Now, this distance between the second time that you saw it and the third time that you saw it, do you have any idea about how much distance that was or how many feet?
Hey, I'd be guessing 30, 40 feet. I don't know. I have no idea. I'd have to measure it.
Now, with respect to the snow that had fallen on the ground, as far as the vehicle was concerned, it moves from one point to the second point to the third point. Do you observe any sort of tire marks or anything in the snow out on the road when you looked out?
Yes, I did.
And the tire marks that you observed, do they essentially lead up to the back tires of the dark SUV that you saw out there?
At some point, I looked out and noticed tire marks that would have started before the Jeep. So if the Jeep was here, so where it's just a weird, like a wave. It was a weird wave in the road. You could see the tire marks.
And was that before or after? So at some point, Ms. Nagel goes out to some other vehicle and then comes back inside the house, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You know about how long she was outside of the house for?
I'd be guessing a minute. I'm not sure.
Not terribly long time?
No, not at all.
And so the time that you observed this sort of abnormality in the tire marks that you see out there, was that before or after she had come back inside the house?
That would have been after.
So you don't know if that was from the dark SUV or whatever vehicle she had met. You have no idea. Objection.
No, can you answer that? Well, the form of the question, it's sustained.
You know which vehicle left those abnormal tire marks you saw?
Based off of where the tire marks were, they came off the curb. My assumption was it was the SUV.
I withdraw.
Okay.
I heard the answer. I withdraw.
Okay.
But you don't know, correct?
No, I didn't see the no.
And that was my next point. As far as when you saw the vehicle, as far as each of those 3 times, it was stationary each time you saw it, correct?
The first 2 times, definitely stationary. The third time looked stationary. If it was going a half mile per hour, I'm not sure, but it was further up the road. It looked to me it was stationary, but like I said, if for some reason it was moving, it could have been moving. But
now, each time that you saw the vehicle, was it in the same sort of position with respect to the house? By that I mean, as far as was it on the Alberts, was it on the 34 Fairview side of the road or the other side, or where was it positioned with respect to the road?
Yes, same position, parked parallel to the Alberts house, heading forward as if you were going to leave Fairview to head up to Chapman Street, heading away from the house.
And so each time that you observed the vehicle, you were looking at sort of the passenger side of that vehicle, correct?
That is
No,
correct.
this guy's been on the stand
And at any
forever,
point in
and you
time,
haven't missed a
either of
damn
these three
thing.
occasions that you observed the vehicle,
This is terrible.
did you see anybody outside of it?
I did not.
Did you see any footprints around the vehicle or leading away from the vehicle or across the yard or anything like that?
I did not.
And were you able to see inside of the vehicle from where you were, either from the window or from the storm door or the front door?
I could not, or I did not see anything inside.
And further to that point, at any point in time that you observed this vehicle in front of the house, you see any sort of interior lights on inside the vehicle?
Not that I noticed.
Now, you saw it at point 1, point 2, point 3. Were there any other times that you looked outside?
I'm assuming I looked out because at some point the vehicle was gone. So I must have looked out one more time because there was no vehicle there anymore. And again, I don't know if I just peeked out the window and said, oh, they left. Again, we didn't know where they were.
And do you know whether or not there had been any attempt at communication by anyone in the house to Mr. O'Keefe at any point?
Yes.
And who was doing that?
My wife was trying to communicate with John, let him know that he's here.
I'm going to let that stand.
And at any point, do you know whether or not Mr. O'Keefe communicated back to Ms. McCabe while they were out front of the house? Objection.
Do you know? Not how you know, but do you know?
Do I know if Mr. O'Keefe communicated back to Jen? Is that the question?
That's my question.
No.
No, she did not, or no, you don't know?
Oh, no, sorry. No, she did not. Sorry.
I'll strike that.
Now, Ms. McCabe, with regard to this, from the first time that you sort of get up and either look out the window or look out the door and see it in front of the front door, to the time that you look out and see it for the third time, or let me ask you this, from the time that you see it in front of the door to the time that you see that there's no vehicle there anymore, you know how long a period of time that was?
I say at least 10 minutes, could be 12, 13, 14. I don't know the exact time, but it was out there for a little bit.
And so let me ask it this way, as far as from the first time to the second time, you testified it was about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, somewhere in there, correct?
Correct.
Were the timing in between the times that you looked out, were they relatively consistent with each other?
Yes, they were.
So you look out 3 or 4 minutes, look out again, 3 or 4 minutes, look out again, is that?
Yes, that would be in line. Correct.
And at some points around 1:45 or 2 a.m., somewhere in there is when you leave Fairview Road, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall who drove your wife's vehicle home that night?
I drove.
And who, if anyone else, was in the vehicle, and where were they seated within the vehicle when you left?
So we were driving Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel home. They were in the back seat of the vehicle and my wife was in the passenger seat. I don't know who sat behind the passenger, who sat behind the driver, but they were in the back seat.
Donna, if at this time with the court's permission, I'd like to publish for the jury for this witness, exhibits 71, 72, and 73.
What's going on here? Get this guy off the stand. This is so fucking useless and repetitive and boring and dull and cumulative and every other bad word you can possibly think of.
And so, Ms. McCabe, on the desk in front of you, there should be a laser pointer there. If you just click that button and point at the screen, you put what I asked you. First, just with reference to what's up on the screen as exhibit 71, you recognize what that is, sir?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize?
34 Fairview.
And absence of the snowfall, obviously, is this essentially what the house looked like on that early morning of January 29th?
Yes, that's correct.
And if you could, with relation to the window first, and then the storm door that you were talking about, that you were looking out from the house, using the latest pointer, show the jury where that is.
Is that working? That would be the window. That'd be the storm door.
And with respect to the first placement, the first time that you look out and see the dark SUV in front of the house, is that visible in this photograph?
Wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
First time that you look out and see the dark SUV in front of the house, is that position, is that visible in this photograph?
I'd probably catch the very back end because there was a Jeep parked right here. Right here, so it'd be right there.
And still invite that exhibit 72. Again, sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen?
Yep.
It's another photograph of the residence of 34 Fairview, is that correct?
Yes.
If you could, using that laser pointer, could you show the jury or demonstrate to the jury where that vehicle was the first time that you saw it?
Say right about here. In this general area.
The second positioning that you were talking about, is that visible in this photograph?
No, it'd be further up the road.
So Ms. Gilman, if I could have exhibit 73. Can you recognize what's depicted now in exhibit 73?
Yes, I do.
That secondary position that you observed the vehicle in is visible in this photograph.
Yes, it is.
So if you could, sir, just direct the jury's attention to where about that.
About in this general area right here.
And the third positioning that you saw the vehicle in, can you describe where that was?
Yep, it'd be further up the road. I'd say, give or take, right there.
Yeah, he saw the Jeep that nobody else saw. Literally nobody else.
So, sir, you leave the residence. of
Nobody
34
else saw the
Fairview,
Jeep.
to
Nobody
recall,
that I recall.
as far as the weather was concerned, what was the weather?
He's making the
What, if
defense
anything,
counsel
changed between
yawn.
the time that you looked out and the time that you came out to go home?
The snow was starting to accumulate.
So the storm was starting to pick up a bit, is that correct?
That is correct.
And when you came out of the house, the vehicle was in the driveway, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And again, if you could, you're driving, who else is in the car and where are they in the car?
I'm in the driver's seat. My wife is in the passenger seat, and Julie and Sarah are in the seats directly behind us.
Do you recall who was seated where?
I don't recall who was in what seat.
And you back out of the driveway and then you recall where you were going or who you were dropping off first?
Yes, I back out of the driveway and proceed, heading up towards Chapman Street.
And so with the passenger side of the wife's vehicle, would that be facing closest to 34 Fairview at the time that you're driving away from it?
Yes, that's correct.
And your testimony as far as the storm picking up a little bit, do you recall anything did you have to clear off the car or windshield wipers on or anything like that in reference to weather?
Yes, I brushed the car off. I had to wipe the car off with my hand and clean off the windows before I pulled out of the driveway. And then obviously setting the windshield wipers as I was driving away.
Now, that area over where the secondary position that you observed that dark SUV in over by the flagpole, do you recall any sort of like street lighting or anything, ambient overhead lighting in that area?
I don't recall it, no.
As you're driving away from the house, do you recall whether or not was there any conversation or music playing or anything like that in the car as you're driving away?
Yeah, it was chitter chatter. You know, my wife was turned towards me, like turned in, talking to the girls behind me. I know at one point somebody was joking about, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. Something about bread. I forget what it was. And then I drove up the street.
And as you were driving up the street and away from the residence of Fairview, what, if anything, did you observe abnormal on the side of the road? Were you looking at the side of the road?
I was not. I was focusing on the snow coming down, the windshield wipers, and driving up the street.
And fair to say you didn't see anything in the yard or anything like
That's correct.
that. So you drove each of the two young ladies home, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
You know about what time it was that you got home yourself?
I got home, give or take, somewhere between after 2:10, 2:15-ish. I don't know the exact time, but somewhere in that vicinity.
And when you got home, each of your four daughters, including Allie, were they all home at that point?
The kids were home, correct.
And when you arrive in the house, you and your wife, where did you?
Well, first went in the kitchen. When we walked in, my wife proceeded upstairs before I did. I was in the kitchen for a few minutes and then went upstairs and went to bed.
And did your wife go to bed around the same time as you?
Yes, she might have already been laying in bed before I physically got in the bed, but yes.
And as far as when you fell asleep, was your wife still awake or had she already fallen asleep?
She was still awake. We were both awake. She actually wanted to watch a show, which I had no desire to watch, and said I was going to bed. We talked a little bit about my younger daughter, about she was trying out for a basketball team, so we talked a little bit about that, and then that was it. I went to bed.
Turning your attention to the morning of the 29th. The morning of the 29th. You woke up at some point, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And
well, obviously woke up at some point. He didn't fucking die.
I woke up to screams in my bedroom.
Or may we approach just briefly?
Okay.
All right, we got to shut this down, man. This is dumb. It has taken how long to get to like the meat and bones of this? How long has he been on here? Let's see. Scrolling back. It's taken an hour and 20 minutes for them to get to the point they realized there was something wrong. And then that stupid question, at some point you woke up that morning, right? Yeah, he didn't die. Of course he fucking woke up. What do you expect? Oh, I hate those stupid prosecutor questions where they... So at some point you woke up that day, right? No, I never did. I just, went into the spirit world. Sorry, prosecutor. Even put Strawberry to sleep. Yeah, this needs to get shut down today.
So we will send you home. Please make sure you follow those 3 cautions. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it. Let us know. Tomorrow's the full day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
All rise for the court, please.
I didn't get bingo today. Now stick around, people. I've got a bunch of super chats to read that last hour and 20 minutes of nonstop drivel prevented me from reading. But I'm kind of bummed I didn't get a bingo. I needed a Judge Mike sigh or a broken tail light reference. But we got nothing. Let's see if we can at least get a Ceiling Dion sighting before we go. Are we going to get a Ceiling Dion view here? I refuse to believe we're going to go a day without seeing the ceiling fan. Oh, come on, pan up, pan up. Pan up. Pan up, bro. Bang, bang. So stupid. Let's go, bro. Come on, man. So, all right. I guess we're not even going to get a ceiling fan out of this. Don't pan down, pan up. Stick with me here. We need to get a ceiling fan sighting. Don't want to shortchange anyone that that needs a ceiling fan sighting. But while we're doing that, let's clear some of the super chats here. Tanny Simmons, an hour and a half ago, said, I've missed so much. They're making me work today. Well, you didn't miss a thing in the last hour and a half. Not a single bloomin' thing. Thank you so much for that super chat so long ago. I'm sorry it took so long to get to it, but they just wouldn't shut up and take a breath and allow me to do it. The DCV Titan with a Canadian $5 from an hour and 20 minutes ago. Wait, where was he punching the heavy bag? Because name the gym that lets people bleed on the equipment. Ooh, that's a good point too. Yeah, was it at a gym? Was it in the basement? Where was this mythical punching bag that he was punching bare knuckled until he bled on the bag like the He-Man he is? What do you got? Yes, Judge, you gonna say something? Nope. She's collecting her papers and making a run for it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Ceiling Dion. We have a Ceiling Dion sighting. I don't know if that gives anybody bingo, but there we are with Ceiling Dion, ceiling fan.
Thank you. Go to the recess.
All right, that's it. So what we're going to do here, people, do not go anywhere. What's going to happen is I'm going to read these last few super chats, and then in about 3 minutes from now, we're going to go over and we are going to watch the review of yesterday. We'll do a premiere of day 12. So, and it's set to automatically send, hopefully, some of you over there. If you don't get automatically sent over in a couple of minutes, just click either the thing at the top of the chat that says, "Hey, something's happening over on Legal Vices. Check him out," or search for it yourself. But we'll do the premiere of the day 12 review. But first, Psycho Doll X, been a member for 8 months, says so far this trial is a massive waste of time. Not a damn thing has been proven. All they're doing is boring people to tears. And as I've said, they actually haven't even proven that John O'Keefe is dead yet, let alone who did it. Terry's been a member for 1 month. Thank you so much, Terry. And Nancy Korensek, sorry. Rather listen to Strawberry snore. Well, you can probably hear her snoring up a little old storm right about now because she's out. She's down for the count. You hear that? That's Strawberry snoring, if you can hear that. Tammy Fayette says Strawberry snores are the best snores. I think so. There you go. There's another big snore for you if you're paying attention. Oh, thank you so much, Tammy Fayette, for your super chat. That was about 50 minutes ago. And Scotty262, Jimmy Hoffa's body is going to be found before any evidence is brought in by the Commonwealth. It's just, I don't know what's going on with it. This witness is bad. I can't imagine what the cross-examination is going to be tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, Friday, we won't watch it live because I will be out. I'll be out on a date or doing something or just drinking heavily by myself, one of the two. But we will do we'll do a 1.25 or possibly 1.5 speed review of this. We'll watch it on Friday evening. So if you got nothing else better to do on your Friday evening U.S. time, spend it with me, or Saturday morning if you happen to be over here in the Asia part of the world. All right, everybody, let's go over and check out the premiere of Day 12 review. We'll see you all on Friday evening U.S. time, Saturday morning Asia time for the review. For the watching of the Day 14 at accelerated speed. Thank you so much, mods. Thank you so much, chat. Thank you for all of your support all the way around, from super chats to monthly memberships to everything else, etc. Let's go see what I'm doing over on the other part of my own very channel. We'll see you guys. Take care. See ya. Bye.